the story so far.
Jaylan comes again, but Farah's going to get there. This is world domination for Farah. Unbeatable, unsurpassable. Shania Fraser-Pryce by an absolute mile. Christie's coming. She's got it. It's all about Rashad Merritt. Merritt's going to take it.
Asinbayeva is the champion. She's back on top of the world.
Being an athlete is about mental strength, physical strength.
Asinbayeva really on top of her game now.
You have to move with grace and power.
Allyson Felix really striding down the home straight.
Using your agility effortlessly.
And Jaylan comes again, but Farah's going to get there.
It's about dedication, focus,
Robbie Grabart showing very good form here.
hour after hour. Building up to one final flourish.
Sanchez is coming away. Sanchez takes the gold medal.
It's about your composure and determination.
And here comes Perry Shake Straighten. Very, very good.
That you can be the best.
The mellifluous tones of Michael Johnson, perfect for combining ballet and athletics. Ballet, a bit of a national passion in these parts. In fact, the Bolshoi is just across Red Square from the Kremlin there, which is sat under a bit of cloud today. It's been a little bit overcast, a little bit cooler than it has been of late. Maybe the gloom around these parts is because Russia were beaten by Northern Ireland last night in the football. Well, their athletes might help to lift that gloom here tonight. If they don't, then our two will. Denise Lewis is here, and so is Michael Johnson, he of that voice. You see, if it wasn't so good, you wouldn't have to work so hard. We wouldn't have you in that voiceover booth all the time.
What was that? Mellifluous?
Mellifluous. Of honey.
I like that.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
put it on your CV.
That takes some effort right there.
How's the day been? There was a media race today, and I was in the office working. I looked up, and I really hope to see you guys in the media race. Surely you've made that transference now, Denise, and you can race in the media race.
I didn't know about that. Did you know about that?
If I'd only known about it, we could have gone down. What do you reckon? No, you'll never see me out there like that.
When I saw you in workout gear earlier on, I thought she's racing. Brilliant. I'm going to get some money on her. Never mind. We could have a really good BBC relay team, couldn't we?
Yeah, you on anchor?
No. I'll commentate, obviously. Guys,
coach,
we have...
Coach.
Coach, yeah.
Yes.
I can do coach. Tracksuit, whistle.
There you go.
That's for me. OK, we've got a brilliant evening coming up for you. It's the final of the men's high jump. Britain's Olympic bronze medalist Robbie Grabart's found some form in qualifying, but Ukraine's Bohdan Bondarenko is the standout favourite for gold. The first round of the one-lap relay, Britain are going in Heat 1. They've reached the semi-finals of the women's 200 metres. We'll see Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce and the Queen of Speed, Allyson Felix. The reigning world and Olympic champion at 3,000 metre steeplechase is Kenya's Ezekiel Kemboi. He is the one to beat again tonight. Another Olympic champion is Felix Sanchez. He's going to need a return to his London form to take gold in the 400 hurdles later. Hannah England took silver in the 1,500 metres in Daegu. She's in another final here, but can anyone stop Sweden's Abiba Aragawi? But the main event for British fans is the women's 400 metres hurdles final. Londoner Perry Shake Straighten and the pride of Perth, Ailey Child, will be chasing down the Czech Susanna Hejnova in search of precious metal. Oh, it's going to be a great evening. That high jump final with Robbie Bondarenko, Ukov, of course, of Russia. We're hoping he's going to get the crowd going. That kicks off at 4. And then it's the 4x4 relay. It could be brilliant. It might not be so for Great Britain. We've come to realise that over the years. The boys have got to get it round, qualify for the final, we hope. At 20 to 5, it's the triple jump final, the women's triple jump final. Then at quarter to 5, the 200 semi-finals, those speed queens, Fraser Price and Felix there. And then Ken Boy goes in the 3,000 steeplechase at 5:20. At 5:45, Perry Shakespeare and Ailey Child are doing it for Great Britain against the best in the world so far this year, Haynova. The men's final follows that at 6 o'clock, and then Hannah England will be hoping to replicate her antics of Daegu in the 1500 final at 6:20. Well, there was a really busy morning here with the women's 800 metre and 200 metre heats. Phil Jones saw it all.
The track was a male-free zone the morning of day 6, with heats of the women's 800 metres opening proceedings. 2 laps for Britain's Marilyn Okoro to display her improved tactical nous to reach tomorrow's semi-finals, crossing the line just ahead of Russia's world and Olympic champion Maria Safinova. Some serious World Championship schooling for 18-year-old Britain Jess Judd as she finished 5th in her heat on the biggest day of her young life. No progression in Moscow, but valuable lessons learned. Another young Briton, Laura Muir, was brought here to gain experience, so a flying finish to the semis was a huge bonus for the 20-year-old Scot, who ran a personal best. Olympic champion Keyshawn Walcott has only bettered the 80-metre mark once this year, so it came as little surprise he didn't make it through javelin qualifying, where the standard required was 82.5 metres. Andreas Torkelson, the David Beckham of Norway, threw beyond that to book his final place. Russia believes another Isinbayeva moment is in the making after Olympic and defending world champion Anna Chicharova became one of 13 women to clear 1m92 and qualify for the high jump final. But world number 1 this year, Brigitte Barrett of the USA, made it through 2 and may yet quell the Moscow mania. American Ryan Whiting led shot put qualifying with a throw of 21.51 metres, the second best qualifying mark in World Championships history. Teammate Reese Hoffer is the only man to beat Whiting this year. He too advanced, along with defending champion David Stahl of Germany. In the first round of the women's 200 metres, Britain's Anika Onura, who set personal best from 100 to 400 metres this season, was left dumbstruck by her non-qualification. She went backwards as others advanced. But 20-year-old Jodie Williams, on her World Championship debut, ran 23 seconds flat to move into tonight's semis as a fastest loser, in a race that saw 8-time world champion and reigning Olympic champion Allyson Felix glide through in her own inimitable, graceful way. Jamaica's 100-metre champion Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price wants the golden double. She also qualified in emphatic style in 22.78 seconds.
So some good, some bad from a British perspective this morning. I guess one of the biggest disappointments is that Jessica Judd hasn't made it through, because she showed such good early season promise, and coming under 2 minutes as she did back in Birmingham, we really felt that, you know, this could be a championship where she could shine.
I think we fell foul of our usual Britishness, is that you've got a young 18-year-old girl who ran, as you said, so brilliantly early season. But, you know, it was a baptism for her. I mean, these girls, I watched these qualification rounds, and they were going out so hard the first 200 metres, 400, and she just was off the pace. It's unfortunate for her.
But she just ran so much slower than she felt she could run as well.
Absolutely. So. And I think, you know, she was left a little bit wanting. But again, she's young. She'll have a lot of time to develop. She was bitterly disappointed, as you can imagine. But I just think that we hyped her up a lot. It was a big ask for her to run, to maybe make it to the finals, but she gave it her all, and that's all you can ask for. But she will be disappointed.
Definitely learn from this experience. Anika Onura must be disappointed as well, because she's done so well over a range of distances this season, Michael.
Which should have set her up very well for this championship, because she's at a point now where in her career this is a perfect opportunity for her in terms of experience and where she is and has been this year. Running the 400 meters should have really lent itself to great speed endurance, which is key for the 200 meters, especially for a 200 meter runner like her who's moved up from the 100 meters. I believe that she knew coming into this championship that she was in great shape, and she just really went for it, and you have to be very careful. You have to manage that. She looked very, very tight to me on the curve. She looked like she was really, really putting a lot of effort into it, and you just can't do that. And it really took a toll on her coming down the home stretch. I mean, she looked really bad coming down the home stretch. Like, it looked like the end of a 400 meters as opposed to the end of a 200 meters.
I mean, what sometimes happens, I think, because I remember it happened to me one of my first championships, is that you're in the athlete's environment so long that you actually use up so much nervous energy watching your friends. You would have watched Christine go out really well. She would have been lifted by that. Then she had to come down again. Then she lifts herself and she comes down again. And I just think she had nothing in her tank. I have not seen her run like that this year. So I wonder whether it's more of a mental fatigue than anything else.
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, when I watched that race, just watching the replay, it really showed. But just watching the race from the beginning, from the gun, she just looked like she was hitting for so much effort around the turn, and you would expect that to take a toll in the home stretch. But it was so bad. I think that you're right. There's something else at play, maybe physically fatigued or something, but there was something else at play because she shouldn't break up that bad, especially having run so well in the 400 this year.
Well, let's be positive. Okoro is having a great season. She's working well with her coach. It's been one of those kind of, I don't know, you just feel like she just was down in the dumps at the end of last season, and she's lifted herself. She's looking good, and she made it through today with Muir as well.
I think she felt she needed to make a drastic change after the disappointment and all the controversy about her not being selected for London, the Olympics last year. So moving out to the States, just a whole change of environment, getting a bit more of that positive energy that she needed to lift herself again, to know that she was going to have a second wind in her athletic career. And she's done that. She used all her experience, all her competitive and sensible racing brain, because sometimes Marilyn doesn't use that in events, but she was fantastic today, and I was delighted for her.
And well done as well to Jodie Williams as well, we should say. So British eyes will be looking at the women's 400 metres hurdles tonight as a race where we're hoping we might pick up some bling. Perry Shakes Drayton, of course, and Ailey Child going in that. But our greatest ever one-lap hurdler at one point held all the major global titles and the world record. 93 was the year where it really came together.
Cool, calm and collected, young woman. Gunnell just a metre down on Farmer Patrick at the moment, the American from the Britain, and the Russian in third at the moment. Gunnell now moving into the home straight. 3 hurdles left in this World Championship final. Sandra Farmer Patrick leads. Gunnell in second place. Gunnell comes fast and she's got to attack her hard now. Gunnell from Farmer Patrick, and Gunnell attacking her on the line, and Gunnell's going to come through, and Sally Gunnell comes through to take the world title. Farmer Patrick is second, and the world record has gone too. What a wonderful performance. She now knows the realization that she's taken all her ambitions in one race.
The great Sally Gunnell, what inspiration. For 25% of the 400-metre hurdles race tonight is British. Ailey Child and Perry Shakes Drayton will be hoping to follow in Sally's footsteps.
The Olympic sitting goes as I may have dreamt of it, or liked for it to have ended. But you know, I learned from that experience, and I channeled that, you know, disappointment into my winter training.
I think kind of last year I was in better shape to run faster than what I actually did, but this year I feel like I'm running to form, I'm running in the shape that I should have been. And it's gone really well, and it's good to sort of back up. You know, I had ran my PB in Gateshead, and it was good to back up again in Birmingham the following week to run another PB. And I'm really happy with the season so far, but obviously I want to sort of deliver when it matters.
The point is really I need to take every round as it comes and, you know, finish it up, you know, from the top positions, because in the past, like in Olympics, I finished third and I just missed out on making to the final. So for that semi-final, you know, you have to treat it kind of like a final.
Definitely want to make the final. This is my third World Champs and I've never made the final yet, I've only made the semis. First and foremost, I want to be in that final, and then if I can go in there and just, you know, perform to the way I've been running this season, you know, run a PB, run my best race in that final, then I'll be delighted, you know, whenever I finish. As long as I can kind of step off the track, knowing that I've left everything on the track and, you know, I've done my best.
As an athlete, you do train, you know, hard to be, you know, to win medals. I would love to come home with any kind of medal, to be honest with you, because it will be a big improvement. Making it to that final, that's going to be really important and like a relief for me as well. And then after that, you're thinking, nah, last one, this, you know, you've got to give it all you got.
5:45 tonight they will be taking to the track, and as you can see, Megan Beasley has joined us in the studio. Your girls will be getting nervous now, building up for the race later on. But what a championship you've had, running a PB in that semi-final. And you could see in your post-race interview you were absolutely delighted with that.
I was so happy when I saw that I'd ran 54 for the first time, and then as soon as I got called into drugs testing, I saw that I came 9th, and I was just so disappointed with just missing out on the final by 0.03. So just sort of mixed emotions in the end. But now I'm kind of happy with 54, and it's just making me want to run.
Have you seen it since?
Yeah, I've been watching BBC out here, so I watched it.
Have you? Have you managed to do that? Don't tell us. Talk us through your race.
I just wanted to go out hard, and Hejdenova's just outside me. I know she doesn't go off particularly quick, so I just thought that I'd just try and keep with her as long as I can and hopefully pull me around the bend. But it wasn't the ideal race. I came off with this hurdle, slotted into hurdle 6 there, and then just kind of tried to keep down the top bend. It just wasn't as tight as I hoped it would be.
Has the whole experience been everything you imagined it would be, this first major championship experience?
I think 2 years ago, I just thought I would never be in this situation, and especially last year after such a poor season from me.
What was the difference then, do you think, coming into this year?
Well, I graduated last year and then decided this is the year I'm going to focus on athletics. I'm going to get a part-time job to fund me to do both. So I think just kind of having such a structured lifestyle, I was working 9 till 1, then getting to the track, and it just kind of helped me focus on this is what I want to do. I want to do athletics. You only get one chance. You can't go back in 10 years' time and say, oh, what could have been.
Agonising, Michael, to come 9th and just miss out on a final at your first championships, but a positive experience should help so much, shouldn't it, for Megan going forward?
Absolutely, and I mean, coming in and running a personal best. I mean, it's been a great season for you, and so all of this, I'm sure has been just an incredible experience for you. What do you think? I mean, what's the goal for you next? I mean, what do you think is next for you?
Next year, well, the Commonwealths and the Europeans, I definitely want to do both of them. I just feel like I can definitely get to the final. And I'm a championship performer in the past, so I just think every time I go to a championship, it's just run another PB.
I'm sorry. What do you think is going to be the difference? What's got to happen with you and training in order to get you to the next level?
Well, I've just handed my notice in at my job, so hopefully
They do
training
know
full
that.
time.
They know.
I did tell them.
They know now.
Sorry. I think that will help a lot because they've just got more time for physio, for seeing the sport psych. It's been great this year, but it's difficult to fit it all in because I can't train till 2, and then it's the 9 till 5 kind of at Loughborough.
So do you know yet what it is that you're going to be working more on your hurdles technique? Is there going to be a lot of flat work? Have you had a discussion yet with your coach about that?
No, well, we sat down at the end of last season to focus on this year, and the things that we said we'd do worked well. I'd just like to maybe sit down with him after this. I've not had a chance to speak to him a lot because he still is in Loughborough at the moment.
But you must have watched your 2 teammates out there. One thing that Perry's worked on a lot is her flat speed. I know the speed endurance for Ailey has been important. And, technically, those are good girls. And you are really up there. It's a stepping stone, don't you think? I mean, breaking that 55-second barrier is just so crucial. And I just think you just need to be a bit stronger.
Yeah, I think that'd be something to work on, and I'd just love to see kind of the training that other people do. So, for example, Sally Gunnar would be amazing to go and speak to see how she trained, because we've kind of got a similar physique. So she's about my height as well, so it'd be interesting to see what she did.
But she had incredible flat speed. Remember, she came from the 100 hurdles, and technically so proficient. I mean, the margins were so small over the barrier for Sally. So it'd be great if you could emulate something like that.
Yeah, it'd be a good. I think with flat speed, I will work on, and then next summer I'm going to do a lot more 400s because I think it is important to be able to run fast. But this year I was focusing on this, coming to my first World Championships, so I didn't want to risk doing anything and not getting here.
And the injuries, are they at bay finally?
Yeah, finally. I've done a lot of rehab, and unfortunately I did actually tear my quad 3 weeks ago, so the medical team were amazing going through that. It was only a slight tear, but I had to have 10 days off just after the trials.
So Megan, tell us today, have you seen Perry, have you seen Ailey? How are they feeling?
I came on the bus with them actually to the stadium. They're just looking forward to racing. They just can't wait to go and see what they can do in the final.
Do they seem their normal kind of pre-race selves? No extra nerves, no extra kind of pressures they're putting on themselves?
Perry usually keeps us out to herself before the races, so she just seemed normal in that respect. And then Ailey, I always speak to her on the bus. We were having a conversation just before I got here. It's as if we were doing the semi-final again.
And are you feeling now kind of, I feel very relaxed watching this, or are you going to feel really nervous for them when the gun goes?
I think I'll be nervous when they start to run. I think I was more nervous about coming here than they were about racing.
Well, you passed this test with flying colours. Just going back to Sally, though, is it an urban myth? Didn't Sally practice because she grew up on a farm by jumping over bales of hay? So that's what I think you've got to do, Megan. You've got to get yourself a field.
So you just go and get one of them for the winter then, get a big house.
Any farmers nearby, volunteer your field. Megan will be there jumping over the bales of hay for you this summer. OK, let's move on because it is the high jump final this evening, and Ukov, the local favourite, bit of a character he is, the Russian, hopefully will get the crowd stirred up. But our own Robbie Grabarz qualified in fine style, of course, Olympic bronze medalist from London 2012. High hopes for him here as he spoke to Phil Jones in Barcelona.
Jelania. Vera. Because I've had not such a great run in, I feel like I've taken the pressure off myself, but I know that training's actually going really well, so I do still have really high expectations of myself. I've just had a couple of annoying little setbacks this year with my knee, and I managed not to miss too many competitions, but I missed, the technical bits in between the competitions, which is where I've really fallen down. But I've been able to string a few sessions together, which is all we needed. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it now. These guys have definitely turned it on another level. I mean, 2 guys over 240 and a guy attempting the world record is not messing around, especially when that world record's already so far out there. I mean, I can PB and still not get a medal here. The standard is very high.
Do you want to jump, children? Do you want to romp, children? But here goes Robbie. First attempt, 217, and he's safely over. The bar has moved up to 229. Robbie Grabarz showing very good form here. This is some of the best jumps I've seen from the British #1 this year.
Tremendous qualifying morning. You must be delighted the way it went.
Yeah, it's a season of patience, and it seems to have paid off. Made the final, ranked first, so I'm happy.
And we saw with what you did in London last year, you embraced the big stage. It looked like you were doing that again today. Yeah, I've been away for a bit and just concentrated on this. I love coming out here at championships and seeing what I'm made of.
Apologies, of course, that was Robbie with Phil the other day, not in Barcelona, but there he is, very much present and correct. Looks fairly relaxed. There's a really strong field here for this high jump final. We've got Ukov, of course, of Russia, Bondarenko, who's thrilling the crowds wherever he goes, looking for world records as he was back at the anniversary games as well. So Denise, Robbie's right in there in the mix as usual, and it's kind of anything can happen in the high jump.
Anything can happen. I think his first goal was naturally to get to the final. Mentally, Megan was just saying, he's really in good spirits, and that's important. He wants to feel that relaxation that he had before all this Olympic success. So hopefully he does really well here.
We know who he is though now. That's the difference.
We know who he is, and I think the thing, though, for him, unfortunately, it's been such an up and down season for him. He's had very, very mixed results, and in a year when guys are jumping just ridiculous. So, it doesn't bode well for him. But the thing is, and from a competition standpoint and what's happened to this point, but he is a championship performer, and he's got a great attitude, and that's extremely important when you come into a competition like this.
Indeed, and just to remind you as well, that 4x400 relay coming up very soon on the track. We'll be dipping in and out of those with the high jump. Great Britain going in the first heat. But let's hand you over now to Paul Dickinson.
Well, this certainly is a final that I'm looking forward to. I'm sure everybody is looking forward to. The Russians will be delighted that Ivan Ukov is back in full form, the Olympic champion, along with his teammate Alexander Shustov, the European champion. This field is full of champions galore, record holders galore, and some of the highest jumpers in history. There's the start list: Derek Drouin, Olympic bronze medalist; Eric Kinnaird, Olympic silver medalist and one of the best guys in the world this year. Then Bogdan Bondarenko, who's been in superlative form this season, ranked 3rd on the world all-time list with a massive jump of 2.41 meters. He's even attempted the world record. Then right at the end of the page there, number 8 and 9, Barshim of Qatar, equal 3rd place and a bronze medal with Robbie Grabarz, the British #1. Then comes Ukov, then a former world champion, Donald Thomas. It really is full of stars of the present and of the past as well. So Everybody looking forward to what could be a fascinating competition. So everything cool, calm and collected down there as the competition gets underway, but a little bit closer towards us in the commentary box is the 4x400 meters relay.
Yes, Paul, and Great Britain in this first heat, first two, and two fastest loser teams will go through to the final. Conrad Williams will set Great Britain off. The quartet today is well, three-quarters a familiar one. It's Williams and Bingham and Martin Rooney on the last leg. But Jamie Bowie getting his first chance today. Nigel Levine rested. The men 400-meter man, the one who got the chance to run in the in the individual event. There's Michael Bingham. Will go second. And three of these men, so Williams, Bingham and Rooney, running the same legs when they won the silver medal in 2009. That team was the same. The other member was Tobin on that occasion. So Jamie Bowie on the third leg. But I think that team more than well equipped to qualify here. Against them, we've got Nigeria, you can see on the inside. Great Britain will be in lane 2. Then we've got Spain, Botswana. Jamaica got a new sort of squad coming together, Jamaica, which could be a strong one eventually. Venezuela, Japan and the Dominican Republic. Now, of course, 400-meter hurdle man Sanchez not there tonight, but Santos is. And I've got a feeling he might have a little bit too much to do on the last leg, but watch out for him coming through like a knife through hot butter on the last leg. I think for a lot of the 400 men, it's been a disappointing year, and I think we had high hopes at the beginning of the year. And if you remember last year, we were adding in Di Green into the mix as well. And the likes of Rooney, who is going to go on the last leg. Of course, he got injured at a crucial part of the season, Martin Rooney, but chatting to him in Barcelona, the holding camp said it's all been coming together quite nicely. So I think it's good to see Martin Rooney on the last leg. You know, last year in Daegu, I think Rooney ran 44.12 on the final leg. We didn't win a medal, but he ran brilliantly that day, and he just has that ability when he's fit, doesn't he?
Yeah, he shows a lot of potential in this event, and I think that's the most frustrating both for Martin and us, because we see him produce good, strong performances under these kind of circumstances, the relay. So we all know that he's trying his best. He wants to do what he possibly can do, and he seems to pull it out with the relay. But you know what, Steve? I was thinking, Gary Cook used to run. He was a great 800-meter runner. He was a good relay runner. Do you think any 800-meter boys have got that potential nowadays?
Well, Cookie was a 4-800 man, and I think Andrew Assaji can probably run a reasonable 4, but he's a bit fragile, Andrew, so he has to keep himself for the 800. Yeah, there have been plenty. Like people like Tom McKean was had a decent 400-meter speed as well. I ran once for the British 4x400-meter squad. They were desperate.
They must have been so
They were.
ready.
Do you know what the team was? I'll tell you the team. It was Keith Connor, John Herbert, Daley Thompson and Steve Cram.
Well, if I was going to put money on anybody to anchor that team, it would have been you, son.
I got pipped on the line by the Chinese #1. They set me up. Santos, as I said, will be on the final leg for the Dominican Republic. They've just got to give him half a chance. I think the Jamaican quartet, as I said, is starting to come together quite nicely. They've got some nice young talent coming through Jamaica at 400 meters as well. Of course, talking about 400 meters, I think we were answering our own question really about Usain Bolt. Would he ever run the 4x4? No. Or, well, let's give another answer with a question. Why? I think if you thought they could win the gold medal, maybe. Anyway, first heat. 2 more to come after this. Just want to get this round nice and safely. This quartet well capable of winning this heat. Hold on a second. We've just got one of the starters, marksman, running across. He's not happy about something. He's asking some people in the centre to get down. So away. And the 4x4 traditionally over the years used to be held on the last afternoon of the championships, not these days. So if it's an unfamiliar event for you, there are 3 bends run, so the stagger is longer than the individual 400 metres. But I can tell you at the moment, certainly the Dominican Republic look as though they've started pretty well. Conrad Williams is going well for Great Britain in lane 2. And it'll not be until they hand over and then they break on the back straight when we'll see exactly where they are. But Williams has just got to be nice and strong through here, put Britain in contention.
It seems to be finishing quite strongly. Yes, the elongated stagger in the 4x400 metres, and Conrad Williams hands over to Michael Bingham, and Great Britain look to be in a very comfortable position at the moment. In fact, they're going to lead and lead well as they break. Jamaica will tuck in behind them. Second leg for Jamaica, Javier Bell, semi-finalist in the individual 400, so very strong athletes. And they also have Javon Francis in the last leg, Jamaicans. In fact, Javier Bell decides to take it on and eases his way past Michael Bingham. Not a bad position for Bingham to be in, though. Try and feed off the Jamaican as they come around the bend and into the home straight once again.
Yeah, Bell's been in good form this year, probably better than Bingham. He might just have overcooked that a little bit. Bingham's judged as well. He's a good relay runner. Nigeria trying to get back into it, and there you can see them all coming across. Britain safely with the baton, though, in second place. Some nice daylight there for Jamie Bowie, and he can just slot in behind Jamaica here, and that's a great position for us to be in. Don't forget, just the top 2 to qualify, and I can tell you Dominican Republic at the minute are a long way back in 7th place, and because Santos is the only one I'm worried about. So Venezuela just behind Great Britain at the moment, but with Rooney on the last leg, hopefully things looking okay.
Yes, Melendez from Venezuela just tucking in behind Jamie Bowie, who fancies the chances of perhaps making a move here on the Jamaican. On Dino Steele is not the strongest in the Jamaican quartet. Good run from Jamie Bowie. The Edinburgh athlete is finishing strongly, sitting on the shoulder of Dino Steele and beginning to make a move. And waiting is Martin Rooney, and Great Britain will have this in a good position, just about neck and neck with Jamaica.
The heavily bearded Martin Rooney. A new look for Martin. Facially, but let's hope not in terms of 400-metre relay running. He's always done this so well over the years. The injury problems he's had, hopefully behind him, really curtailed his season from an individual point of view, but it's so crucial that he's fit for the relay squad. And this is what he does quite well. He gets in front and he's controlling this at this point. This is Francis just moving up onto his shoulder for Jamaica. These two quite well clear, though, Venezuela. Santos doing his best way back for Dominican Republic, but they're so far back. He's got no chance of bringing them through. So Martin Rooney just being outrun here by Francis. Top 2 safely through. Great Britain and Jamaica. Real battle for third. Venezuela win out there ahead of Japan. Dominican Republic with Santos, Spain, Nigeria, and then Botswana. 3 minutes. The winning time. That's not bad, actually, in the heats. So it'll be interesting to get the splits. Some pretty good performances there, and I think it was good to see young Jamie Bowie coming in. He's only run, well, he's yet to break 46 seconds, so it'll be good to see what his split was, but Rooney bringing them home safely.
Yes, Martin in a very comfortable position. There's lots of daylight around him, so there's no stresses, no strains, really. It's about safety, getting the team through this race well, and I think they all have really done a strong performance to make sure that they've qualified with ease. It's nice to see that. You got those splits yet, Steve?
Yes, first leg was Conrad Williams at 45.3, and that's a good first leg. You know, you've got to run the big stagger. So Conrad Williams came through in 45.3, passed it over to Michael Bingham with a good solid run from him, which I think was fairly comfortable and relaxed. He ran a 45.6, and then Bingham hands over to the debutante, to Jamie Bowie. And let me tell you, 44.8 on the third leg. That's impressive. And let's not forget, they're running for places here as well. You'd expect Nigel Levine to come into this team, but that's a big statement from Jamie Bowie. 44.8. Then he hands to Rooney, 44.8 on the last leg as well. So that shows that Rooney's back in decent shape. And Bowie, well, they've got options there. Really do have options. So good performance just outside 3 minutes. Jamaica, with Francis running hard at the end, just got ahead of Great Britain, but they're through safely and all ran, I think, pretty well. They're with Phil.
They are indeed, Steve. Having a bit of a debrief. Conrad, well done. You got the team off to a fine start, into the lead, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I have to say, you know, black armbands and RIP to Todd Bennett. And and Roger Waters, you know, rest in peace for those guys. You know, I run my well. Today I just wanted to get out. I've been waiting for weeks to try and get on this track. I heard that it's fast, and like I said, I just wanted to set the guys up, and I'm just happy to be out here. World Championships bring out the best in both of us, so it's good.
A time of 45.3 to set them off, and a really nice tribute you've made to both those guys. And then, Michael, you kept it strong, kept the team in. What was the mindset? You've done this so many times. You want to get through qualifying, want to conserve a bit of energy maybe along the way.
Right. Well, that second leg is not my favorite because it takes you out of the groove. You got to get out really hard. But I attribute this performance today to the guys because I wasn't feeling tip-top coming into this competition, but I love running these relays because you never know what's happening, and it brings the best out of you. It really does. So I'm really happy with all the guys, especially this guy right here.
Jamie, I think it was 44.8 I was hearing for you, which is great. And a tremendous third leg, 44.8. Yeah, tremendous. Now tell me, coming into the team like this, you're a relative newcomer, a new face to people back at home, but you did a great job.
Yeah, well, just came out and didn't really know if I was going to run. Did some really good training out here and, you know, made the step up to get here. So when I got on that track, I knew I had to run as fast as I could, so not let these guys down. But it's been great just learning off these guys, you know, experience they've got as my first senior cap, so it's been a great experience.
Fantastic effort. And Martin, brought the team home as you've done so many times before. 44.8 for you, I'm hearing as well. So, I mean, consistent runs right across the board and more to come for the final.
Definitely, I think we're all a bit ring rusty. We haven't raced in a long time, so it's a fantastic time to run out here. And I think we've got Possible and Nigel coming through. It's going to be very hard to throw any of us out of the team, so we'll see. You know, I think we've got a very strong squad, and we're going to surprise some people. You know, we're a strong team. We're talking a lot about the women, but I think we're standing up for ourselves and doing a great job.
Brilliant. All the best for the final. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yes, well done indeed. A well-leading time for Jamaica. Of course, the event not run that often outside of championships as national teams. Great Britain with a season's best for them as well. Venezuela and Japan sitting in the two fastest loser spots at the moment.
The start of a long, hard evening for Robbie Grabarts in the high jump final. 2.20 meters is the height that most of the jumpers have elected to come in at. Grabart's first attempt and sails over. In qualifying the other day, he looked absolutely superb. Everything seemed to be coming together at just the right time, and he's continuing that sort of form with that first attempt. But believe me, the medals are going to be won at a height a lot higher than this. The Olympic champion Ivan Ukov, who got a big cheer when he was introduced to the crowd. His coach is Sergei Klugin, that we just saw a glimpse of there, former Olympic champion himself, and Ukov sails over once more. The only man who's not coming in at this height, in fact he won't come in until at least 2.29 meters, is the world leader Bogdan Bondarenko. He's the only man that's passed on 2.20 and looks as though he's going to be the only man that's going to pass on 2.25 as well.
Well, the Americans so often all conquering in the 4x4, and they do have a couple of athletes to come in. They'll expect to stroll through this one. Really, it's about the United States and Belgium. This one, no Tony McQuaid, no LaShawn Merritt, so they'll be added to what is still a very strong quartet. There's Antoine Gillet. He is the interloper in the Borlée family outing. Dylan Borlée, 20-year-old, running alongside Jonathan and Kevin, his elder brothers, the twins. Ukraine as well. Well, they're getting the acknowledgement just now. Just look at the massive pocket of Ukrainian fans again, who have been funded to come here. They've had all their tickets bought for them, so they sit there in their yellow and their blue t-shirts and provide great support. And Trinidad and Tobago going 7. Dion Lendor just missed out on a place in the final of the 400. He goes on the anchor leg. And Brazil go on the outside. First two to go through automatically, and if anybody can get close to USA and Belgium, of Kenya, Sri Lanka, Poland, Ukraine, Trinidad and Tobago and Brazil, then it will be a mighty surprise. The Americans with Harris leading them off. Arman Hall on the anchor leg just missed out on a place in the final of the individual as well, but the Belgians, there is Antoine Gillet ready to take them out. Second heat of the men's 4x4. First two to go through automatically. So away they go, and the two main protagonists should be in the red in lane 4, the United States, and the red, black and yellow of Belgium. In lane 5, Antoine Gillet will hand on to Jonathan Borley. Kevin Borley on the anchor leg with Dillon in between. And Harris and Gillet fairly even at the moment, the Americans and the Belgians, but they will begin to make their presence felt as they come around the top bend.
Yeah, and I think we should watch out for Trinidad as well. They've started well. I think they've got a good, strong quartet when the likes of Rennie Quo setting them off here and Lalonde Gordon to come. I think Trinidad and America, there might be a lot of pressure on the ball. It's a backloaded team, if you like, and they're going to have some work to do, and they haven't really got off to a particularly good start there. So it'll be Trinidad and the USA. USA probably will, well, indeed, around that top bend there, the USA with David Verburg, I'll say that again, Verburg, storming down the back straight. He really has started quickly, hasn't he? Solomon of Trinidad moving across to second place. Brazil, a long way back at the moment in third.
Yes, I think Antoine Gillet will be feeling the pressure there, knowing that he just had to give the baton to the Borleys in a decent position, but he has left Jonathan Borley with a lot of work to do, which he is doing now, starting to move up around the Brazilian squad. But Trinidad and the United States at the moment, and this is going to have to be a strong finish from the Belgians, because at the moment it is the USA, it is Trinidad and Tobago in a very good position. So the youngest of the Borley boys is going to have to do his bit now.
Young Dillon with the baton, and his first foray into world and Olympic style 4x400 meter running. He's closing down there. USA and Trinidad still out there in front. It's going to be very, very tight here. Brazil right in the mix here as well. So it's Trinidad who are coming under a bit of pressure here. Americans, as expected, out there in front. And Trinidad with Gordon not doing particularly well. Maybe he's left a little bit. Indeed, he has. Watch this, just stretching those big legs here. And Brazil and Belgium a long way back at the moment. So Kevin Borley with a big task to get the Belgians back in the mix here. USA from Trinidad.
And it is Arman Hall for the USA, and what a lot of work for Kevin Borley. Sets off at a furious pace, but look at what he has to do. Two only to go through automatically, and it is still the United States. And the anchor leg, Arman Hall, and Trinidad and Tobago, Dion Lendor. I don't think they're going to be caught. These are two high-quality athletes. Brazil with D'Souza trying to get close at the moment, and Kevin Borley is doing his very best. He's left himself an enormous amount to do, Kevin Borley. Still the United States and Trinidad and Tobago out in front. Arman Hall looking to bring the Americans home. What a tradition, what a record they have in this event. But Dion Lendor running a good leg for Trinidad and Tobago as well. And Kevin Borley is trying, he's trying. There are fastest qualifiers to come through from the losers as well. It's been a good final leg from Borley. Can't quite get there. Third for Belgium, second for Trinidad and Tobago. But the winners, always the winners in the 4x400, even in the heats. The USA, and they have better athletes to come in as well. Ominous.
Bizarrely enough, you know, Andrew, the USA, like the Brits, are all running for their positions in that final. All the athletes themselves would love to be in the final. You know, you want to do that final event, because that's when real excitement happens, isn't it? That's when you feel like you're really winning the medals for your country. Have you got any split times for us?
I just want to give you the splits on the Belgians, because you see Kevin Borley doing his very best to get through there. I hope they go through for his split, his final lap. 43.9 the unofficial time there, as we watch Arman Hall bringing the Americans home. But Gillet 46.8 for the Belgians. That's where the damage was done. Jonathan Borley 44.1, Dylan Borley 46.1, Kevin Borley 43.9.
There's no doubt they've got a really strong team. I just think they've just put them all in the wrong order. Gillet really perhaps should run the second leg for them. But I think they have made it through to the final with that time, because it was a very quick time.
Yeah, it's going to be close, but they do have a chance there. United States world leaders, as I said, doesn't matter hugely, but they're through, and through impressively.
Muta Essa Barshim of Qatar, 225, and look at the height between this tall, lean body and the bar. One of the men who tied for the bronze medal in the Olympic Games. The others were Robbie Grabouts and the Canadian Derek Drouin. Drouin already clear at 2:25, as is the Olympic silver medalist Eric Kennard. Now Barshim of Qatar has his chance, and he took it well. So can Robbie keep this 100% record going? Let's hope his mind is in good shape as well as his body, because he's up against the toughest competition he's ever faced. Yes. Well done, young man. Faz Ahmed must be delighted at the progress that his athlete has made. And Newham Essex Beagles members will be delighted with what he's achieved so far as well. But believe me, this is a hard one. Ivan Ukov, generally quite impassive as to what's going on in competition, has been accused on one or two occasions of being a little bit lackadaisical in his approach to international competition, but he is the Russian indoor record holder, 240, the Olympic champion as well, and that's how good he is. Taking a quick look up at the giant scoreboard just behind the high jump takeoff area. That's Shustov, his teammate, who's gone clear at this height too. There's only been one failure in the whole competition so far, and that was at 2:20 by the former world champion, this man in your picture, Donald Thomas. When he won the World Championship back in 2007, it was a huge surprise. It was only just a year after his first ever high jump competition. He was such a talented young man, almost recruited directly into track and field athletics from a basketball court. Oh, just scraped it a little bit, but safely over at the first attempt. That one cross at 2:20 may count against him, though, in the long run. Faz Ahmed just checking on the technique of Thomas, who, after all, is a former world champion, so he's a very useful athlete. But Robbie Grabarts continues well.
So there we are, confirmation the United States through with that time sneaking below 3 minutes. Trinidad and Tobago looking strong as well. Belgium, well, I think they might still go through.
Yeah, Andrew, I'd agree. I think they've got a really good chance just outside 3 minutes. I'm not sure there are 4 teams here going to run that fast, but we'll see. I think this is the weakest of the 3 heats. So we've got Italy, Germany, Australia, Cuba, Czech Republic, Russia, Bahamas and Saudi Arabia. There's some interesting. Colin was talking about which legs you put your good runners on, and I think this shows it in this particular heat. Interestingly enough, there's the Czech Republic. Look at the name there, Majlak. He's their #1, the European champion, and he's on the second leg. And actually that's been repeated. Well, by contrast, the Russians here have put Dildin and Krasnov, their numbers. Krasnov's their #1, Dildin their #2 on the first and the last leg. Bahamas, experience of Chris Brown on the first leg. He's their #1, so he leads them out, wants to get them in the race and hope that the other guys then lift their game because they're involved. Saudi Arabian team, a bit like the Czech Republic, they put their #1, Mazrahi, on the second leg. Interesting, isn't it? Well, I'm trying to make it sound interesting, so I think team selection, and even Martin Rooney alluded to it, didn't he? Sort of saying Nigel Levine to come in and then look down the line as though, I wonder who's going out. Some tough decisions. Sometimes teams can't afford to mess around. They just don't have the options, if you like. They just put their top 4 out, or the 4 that they have. So I think a little bit of noise expected here for the 4x4. Russia definitely got an opportunity. So Italy on the inside, Germany, Australia, Cuba, Czech Republic, Russia, Bahamas, Saudi Arabia. Top 2 to go through, and then if you're not in the top 2, you need to be just outside 3 minutes to stand a chance of a fastest loser spot. Safely away. Saudi Arabia right on the outside in lane 8. Russia with Dildon leading them off. And the Saudi team started quickly, as indeed has Chris Brown for the Bahamas. The Cubans are going well. It's Chris Brown who's taken the most advantage through this first 200 metres or so. As they come round for the first bend, staggered and wind. Of course, one more to go yet, but certainly looks as though Bahamas, Russia, Saudi Arabia and Cuba have started the best.
Well, Saudi Arabia certainly just wanting to keep in touch. Their strength lies on this second leg with Yusuf Ahmed Mazrahi, who ran so well, the former middle distance runner, ran so well in the individual event. But the Bahamas in very good position. A little bit of a start. I wonder if the Russians might have just run out of lane. Their head on hands from Dildon as they hand it over to Lev Mozin. As Steve was saying, their strength comes in the first and fourth legs. But at the moment, Cuba out in front. The Russians for now in second place, just being passed by the Bahamas and Wesley Namor. Well, he tucks in fact behind the Russian athlete. So Russia in a good position for now, but I just wondered about that changeover.
Yes, I was looking for any flags have gone up. I haven't seen a flag gone up. That doesn't necessarily mean it hasn't been spotted, but we'll have a look later. Cuba leading this. Russia in second place. The Bahamas third. Mazrahi is doing his best to try and bring Saudi Arabia, Australia coming back into it as well. But clear leaders at the moment. Cuba 1, Russia 2, Bahamas 3. Crowd really getting into this, and they've got to give Krasnov a chance on the last leg here because there's danger behind.
Well, certainly is danger behind. Well, Latoy Williams for the Bahamas at the moment, but a little bit of a gap there for him to try and close. At the moment, the Bahamas with their sights set on the Russian Sergei Petukov, and Cuba looking very strong at the moment. I'm not sure they're going to be caught. It's a good run from the Russian, but he seems to be flagging a little bit at the moment. They just want to give their anchor man, give Vladimir Krasnov a good position, because at the moment the Bahamas creeping up into second position and in fact may lead going into the final leg.
Big leg for Thomas Schneider of Germany as well, has given them a bit of a chance here. So Bahamas lead, Russia in second place with the tall figure of Krasnov. Cuba going past them. That's Pelissier trying to get on past the Russian. He's now not been able to. Krasnov realizing he just needs to hold this here. Out in front for the Bahamas, O.J. Ferguson looking calm and relaxed at the minute. Australia with Tristan Thomas trying to get involved. 4 teams could go through if they're quick enough. Bahamas leading, Russia in second place, just the top 2 by rights, and Thomas has had a cracking run for Australia, coming from absolutely nowhere, might yet get second. Russia are going to win this. Australia are going to come up for second place. He's run a cracking leg for them. Germany third, Bahamas fourth. And the Aussies needed to get there because it wasn't quick enough. It was slower than the other 2 heats. But what a run by Tristan Thomas on the last leg for Australia. But what about the Russians here? We're going to have a look at this. What happens here, Colin?
Well, I'm checking to see on the check mark, because as you did, Steve, I was searching to see if that flag got raised. Watch this now. If you look on the floor, they're in the middle of the box now, and this is at the end. We'll come to the end of the changeover, and I think they're outside that box, and I also think they're in the wrong lane. So could be a double disqualification going on there.
Well, he's inside the box. The red line you could see was the zone, but he's gone into the opposing lane. He hasn't cut inside, he's gone into, but he has impeded. Bahamas could theoretically say, because of course they missed out, finished in 4th place there, they could raise a protest. I didn't see a flag go up, you didn't see a flag go up, but we'll have to wait and see. For the moment, that's the result.
We will, of course, wrap that up for you. If there is a disqualification or if the Bahamas protest, we will let you know. The stadium's getting ready for an important medal ceremony. On Tuesday night, it really was electric in here because the national athletics sweetheart, Yelena Isinbayeva, was going well in the pole vault.
The magnificent Yelena Isinbayeva, twice an Olympic, twice a world, and 4 times a world indoor champion.
2008 when I won last time Olympic Games. Then it was Daegu and I lost. Then was many other competitions which I lose.
Wow, what a huge, huge shock.
Today I had the feeling inside of me that yes, today I have a chance to win.
Listen to the crowd if she goes clear. stuff. Asinbaeva really on top of her game now. The Olympic champion Jen Suhr of the United States has got this vault to stay in this final. Oh no, that was her worst attempt of all. Yarisley Silva of Cuba still got one final attempt, but there's only one athlete clear so far. It's not to be. Asinbaeva is the champion. 3 world titles, 2 Olympic titles, and numerous world records. She's back on top of the world.
I think I won because of my crowd, my home crowd, because of my family, and of course because of my genius coach. I have many difficulties in the past, but I'm proud of myself because I'm overcome all these difficulties, and now I'm flying again.
There she is, the queen of athletics, flanked by 2 athletes who are superb athletes in their own right, but they had to play second fiddle to Asinbaeva the other evening. The bronze medal goes to Yarisley Silva of Cuba, the Olympic silver medalist. This time she picks up a global bronze medal. It was a cracking night of athletics. The Olympic champion was beaten too. To the right-hand side of Asinbaeva is Jen Suhr of the United States. She gave it absolutely everything on the night, but in the end there was only one athlete in it. It really was a night to remember. The Russian public enjoyed themselves. The athletes enjoyed themselves. We enjoyed ourselves, all because of this woman. Twice now the world champion. And she's done it again. The 3rd time she's managed that rostrum in World Championship history. 28 world records. She attempted one the other evening. It wasn't to be, but I'm sure there are more records and more medals to come. She's going to take some time out, but she will be back. She wants to win all of the medals she's won in the past, all over again. Nations on earth, and she gave them a very special golden moment once more. Well, the high jump final continues, of course, and we're at a height now where we're going to see the first appearance of the best high jumper in the world currently, Bogdan Bondarenko. And here he is. He's been absolutely flying this year. Jumped 2:41. And he's got the best support in the stadium as well, despite the fact most of the crowd are Russian. Right behind him, there is a Ukrainian contingent, all of whom have been paid for by a Russian businessman to support the Ukrainian sportsmen and women. This is opening height. Wow! And a very proud father is in the crowd somewhere as well. And what a start he's made to this final. 2:29. An Olympic bronze medal was won at that height in London last year, and he's made it look so easy. There's the support. My goodness.
So Russia confirmed winning that third heat. Australia with that brilliant run from Thomas on the last leg there. Both of them with season's best. What that means, Germany just edged out there, and that time of 3 minutes 2.60 will not be quick enough, because Belgium and Brazil from the second heat will go through as the two fastest losing teams.
Well, the Russians have got the Olympic champion in the shape of Ukov, and in the shape of Shustov here, the European champion from 2010. They're both in the final. Neither of them so far have had any failures at all. Shustov's best for the year, though, is 2:31, so he's just about reaching the limit of his form this season. 2:29 the target. Oh, 99% of the way over. Just dragged it off with his heels. Only the second failure at this height. Sorry, the first failure on his record so far. The athlete before him, Baniotis of Greece, failed it too, and so has Ingraham and Kogosiomang of Botswana. But 3 clearances. Derek Drouin, who's going well, the Canadian, Eric Kennard, and Bondarenko. And this young man, one of the youngest men in the final, Mutaz Esabarshim. Yes. This was one of the Olympic bronze medalists who got 2:29 to win that bronze medal in London. The other two, as I mentioned earlier, Derek Drouin of Canada and Great Britain's very own Robbie Grabars. And Robbie will be up next, I think. Right on cue. And his mindset must be absolutely perfect at the moment. Technically he's been good, mentally he's been very strong. A lot of the athletes go running off after each attempt to their coaches. Robbie's been very cool, calm and collected. I put the commentator's kiss of death on that one. That was his worst jump by far that we've seen in the last 2 days. Edged it off with his shoulder on takeoff. So just perhaps needs to adjust his run-up. You don't want your mind cluttered with too many things when in a situation like that. You've got to stay cool.
Well, it's a good night in prospect here in the stadium. Elena Isinbayeva now being interviewed with some fervour by the stadium announcer. He's going for it, the crowd are going for it, and the Ukrainians as well in the crowd are looking forward to a great night with some top-class athletics.
Well, while Isinbayeva was receiving her medal there, we had some quotes that she had given today to a news conference, and it regards the controversy over the laws which were passed here a few months ago, which basically were seen as being homophobic by most of the world. There was great protest from lots of quarters. Stephen Fry issued an open letter to Parliament saying that we should boycott Sochi because of it. And she has come out and condemned homosexuality, criticised fellow competitors who've painted their nails in rainbow colours in support of gay and lesbians worldwide. She says, I mean, it's quite unbelievable what she's come out and said. If we allow to promote and do all this stuff on the street. We're afraid of our nation because we consider ourselves normal, standard people. We live boys with women and women with boys. These are controversial comments. I imagine, you know, hearing that in the UK, you'll be thinking to yourself, it's 2013. And, you know, what she's saying is very divisive and very insular.
Absolutely. I mean, she's clearly not in touch with the rest of the world. And I'm surprised that her management would have advised her to just be a little bit more cautious with, you know, throwing her views out there. Yes, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. It clearly is very damning for her as a global figure. Global figure and global superstar. So I expect a lot of repercussions from those comments. I really do.
But I can tell you, just knowing her management, that they haven't had much control over the last few years. They have pretty much given up, and she's surrounded by a lot of people here in Russia. Her management is actually not Russian, but she's been influenced by them. She's burned a lot of bridges over the last few years. That's the understanding that I get. But she's very popular here with a very small group of very powerful people who probably support that political position within this country. And
she's playing to the home crowd.
She's playing to her interest, really. That's more what it is, because what I understand is that there's a small group of people, very wealthy, very powerful, that are surrounding her and have been over the last few years, and she knows that she can go back to that. So, you know, as a global figure, it's not good for her, but I think she's thinking more short-term, more insular, as you said, and just kind of, you know, who are the people that are supporting me and will support me for the future? I think that's what she's thinking. And it's very flawed judgment, obviously, and a very flawed
not comments which are going to win her
position.
friends around the world. And one of the other things she said was she hopes it doesn't spoil the Sochi Games. I think it's something that's not going to just go away, and I think she may find that it may taint Sochi. And those comments will not be well received by, I think, a lot of her fellow athletes as well. The women's 200-meter semi-finals are coming up, and Allyson Felix of the USA needs one more gold to become the unprecedented holder of 9 world championships. She really is a superstar.
And Allyson Felix really striding down the home straight. But it's Allyson Felix all the way. Allyson Felix is the Olympic champion. It's a new world record. USA get the gold medal in the women's 4x1. Allyson Felix looks supreme out in the lead.
She doesn't go in the first heat, though. Hure is possibly the outstanding athlete who goes there. Of course, the silver medalist from the 100 metres. Andrew Cotter is going to call this one.
Yes, I was talking about a good night in prospect for the large groups of Ukrainian fans. You can see the yellow and blue there, and they've got a couple of athletes here with a very good chance of going through to the final. Elizaveta Brezhgina, who comes from great sprinting stock. Also Yvette Lalova, strong Bulgarian. But Muriela Hure, after collecting a medal in the 100, she really could challenge Felix and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price. They go later on, of course, but in this heat, of which the semi-final, of which 2 go through automatically, and the next 2 fastest losers. Hure would be the favourite, but look out again as well for one of 2 very talented young Bahamian sprinters. Shawnee Miller goes in this one in lane 6. You've got Elizaveta Brezhgina, Geneva Tarmo of America on the outside. So I would expect Muriela Hure to go through, but it might be a little bit of a battle behind her for the second automatic qualifying place. Billy Basaki of Greece in 1, Yvette Lalova, Bulgaria in 2, Anisha McLaughlin in 3 of Jamaica, Muriela Hure in 4, Elizaveta Brezhgina of Ukraine in 5, Shawnee Miller of the Bahamas in 6, Joanna Danois of France in 7, and Geneva Tarmo in lane 8. First 2 to go through automatically, the first semi-final, first of 3 semi-finals in the women's 200 metres. So Hure in the white in lane 4 powers away, can't take any chances at this stage in the semi-final. He can't ease back as the best sprinters did in the first round. And she's very strong around the bend and carries them all into the home straight and trying to get there. Geneva Tarmo on the outside, the American. Inside Muriel Ahuri is Anisha McLaughlin also fighting. Oh, but she pulls up. The Jamaican is gone and finishing strongly instead. Shawnee Miller from the Bahamas gets the second, but all well behind Muriel Ahuri, 22:48. And Ahuri, with that medal in the 100 metres, a silver behind Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. I wonder if she can go better in the final of the 200. Distressing scenes for Anisha McLaughlin, the Jamaican, who's down on the track, a hamstring possibly gone. But Ahuri, no doubt about that, strongly through.
Muriel Ahuri, she ran very well in the final Diamond League. Over the 200 metres, a strong bend runner, comes into the home straight. With everything done, now she's just concentrating on holding her form. She's not really going to try and press and search for more speed. The most important thing is just to maintain the speed that you've generated around the turn. And in comparison, Miller from Bahamas, well, she perfectly timed the race to move her way through this field. She's a leggy athlete, so it takes her a little bit of time to unwind and come down this home straight. She's also young, so she's going to have a lot of experience in a competition like this, but Muriel Ahuri, the silver medalist, is through perfectly well.
And you can see Shawnee Miller running a 400 with that build, but looking very good here as well, and just 19 years old. But Muriel Ahuri, I'm going to mention, has great success in the 200 this season, a couple of victories in the Diamond League. When she won in Rome as well, she became the first person in 2 years to beat Allyson Felix. That is her pedigree. That's the kind of threat she carries going into the final, and my goodness, didn't she go into the final well here. She won it. Shawnee Miller in second, Geneva Tarmo of the United States. We'll have to wait and rely on her time. And confirmation of that 22:70 from Tarmo, season's best. We'll see if that gets her through, but Muriel Ahuri and Shawnee Miller automatically into tomorrow's final.
Now then, how has that failure affected Robbie Grabartz's mindset? Hopefully it will not have dented his confidence too much. Second attempt, 2:29, and just gets it. Yes, little sweat on the brow as he scraped over that one. And this height, of course, was good enough to win medals at the Olympic Games last time. But you get the impression from the way things have been going here this evening, 2:29 will not win anything. But the British #1 is still in there.
Phew, Robbie. That was a little bit close for comfort, wasn't it?
A little bit too close. But, you know, he's got to, you know, minimise those first failures in those attempts, because that will pay
later on,
heavily later on, if he doesn't keep together with this.
Let's talk about that first 200-metre heat there that we saw, that first semi-final. Ahuri, she looks like she's just kind of building on that performance in the 100 metres the other day, looking very strong.
Yeah, and she looks very, very good. She's technically, she's just beautiful. She runs a very nice curve. Look, the left shoulder is dipped. That's how you want to run your curve she makes. And Colin talked about this earlier today. A beautiful transition from the curve to the straight. Just very, very nice transition there, flawless, great technique, very relaxed. 22:46, and I believe, I mean, that's just 2/10 off of her personal best. She eased up coming into the finish line, so she's really positioned well here now after this semifinal going into the final. That was one of the easier of the semifinals that we're going to see here tonight, but that was a very good showing by Ahuri. After her silver medal in the 100, she's very confident as well.
We've got Felix Anakbari going in the next heat, so a little bit more difficult. Felix with a kind of off year last year for her, an off year in 2011, an on year in 2012. She's not really looked quite the same athlete this year.
I'd say that her invincibility is in question this year for sure. Ahuri had beat her already, and I just think that if there's any time she might be beaten for this championship, it's now. But, you know, you can never doubt such a decorated athlete like her. She is one of the best out there.
What kind of form do you think she's in, Michael?
She's in good form, and I think that she's not in the best shape, but she's an athlete who we could see going through these rounds getting better and better. She looked really, really good this morning, looked very relaxed. She's got a tremendous amount of experience, and that really pays huge dividends in a championship like this. So even though she's not in the best of shape, I think that, you know, she's taking it one round by round. You know, the final is really where she's going to have to really turn it on and hope for the best, because
draw on all that experience.
Yeah, absolutely, because Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, who we're going to see in the next heat, is on fire and absolutely ready.
Okay, save your powder on her. We'll come back to you on her in just a moment. Let's go down to Steve Cram for this.
Yeah, I think just to extend that discussion, really. You think about Felix ran 22:36 in Beijing in May, and Okakbari's best 200 was set back in April at the Mount Sac Relays, 22:31. So it's easy to look at the world list and say, you know, these women have got a great chance and they're going to be close to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, but they were in great form over this particular distance earlier in the year. We'll come back to that. And we'll just go through the lane lineups. This is Selvon of Trinidad. Sanchez of Dominican Republic came through as fastest loser, around 23:01. Felix will be in lane 3. And just almost to reiterate that point, Felix has also got the woman who beat her in the US Championship. She didn't even win the American Championships. Admittedly, it was a bit of a slightly odd result, perhaps, but didn't win there. Okakbari, of course, has had a busy week. Silver medal in the long jump, ran in the 100 meters. This, her better sprint event, definitely, which has only run 4 before this one today. Kristina Stui of Ukraine, who finished very strongly, had an outside lane in qualification. 22:86, season's best for her. This is Kimberly Duncan. Now, she beat Allyson Felix in the American Championships. It ran well under 22 seconds. It was wind aided. It was, I can't remember now, +3 point something, but that was a good performance on the day. Inside lane this morning, what a good run from Guillaume Fermin from France. Ran a personal best, 22:91, was inside Anika Noura. And Patricia Hall, one of the slower qualifiers today. Just very quickly, Colin, you know, I mean, Felix is, you know, has this second half of the season, she's just not looked quite the same, has she?
She hasn't looked the same at all, and I spoke to her on a couple of occasions. I said, Alison, you at all worried? And she said, with her smile, and we all know she's got a gorgeous smile, she just said to me, I think I'll be all right. And I just said, Bobby Kersey? She said, Bobby will see me right.
And that's all any athlete can do. You have faith in your preparation, faith in your coach, faith that, well, as the guys were saying, you can also dip into that reservoir of experience that's seen her win 3 gold medals at the World Championships at 200 meters. Her next quickest time, incidentally, apart from that 22:36, is 22:55, and we've already seen Ahura go quicker than that. So if nothing else, I think Felix would want to get it down into the low 22s. Certainly under 22.5 would be nice. Felix actually gets a pretty good start, so does Okakbari outside, and the two of them have already made up ground on Stewie. And Kimberly Duncan has been very slow through that first 50 meters. So it's Felix and Okakbari pulling well clear, the two class acts here. Okakbari with that nice strong action, but Felix flowing across the track as normal. This is a little bit more like it. The two of them miles ahead of the rest. 22:31, there you go. So all of that stuff we were talking about the early season form hasn't been reproduced. They've suddenly reproduced it, the two of them. Kimberly Duncan did get through the third column, but that was more like it. Out of the blocks well, good bend, and the two of them, for me, nice and relaxed in the home straight.
It was a perfect race, I think, for both of these women, and there's no doubt Allyson Felix was right. When Bobby Kersey says this is what we need to do to prepare you, you've got to believe her. She was just majestic around the turn, no panic. She knows Okakbari's room very well this year over the 100 meters. Has been very quick, but she didn't panic at all. She got to her shoulder quite quickly. Beautiful gait around the turn. For someone who's we spoke earlier about Miller and the fact that she was very tall and how difficult she finds it to go around the bend. But Allyson Felix has got long limbs also, and she manages to negotiate the bend in a beautiful, beautiful fashion. Glancing up to the scoreboard, seeing where the position is, and just keeping her head, keeping cool. And when you've been world champion as many times as Allyson Felix, and run as fast as many times as Allyson Felix, I guess you can keep a cool when there's pressure all around you. Wonderful running, nice projection into the final, and she is downstairs right now talking with Phil.
Colin, thank you, and I think a very happy Allyson Felix. You've just watched it back on the screen here with us. What did you think of that performance?
It was decent, you know. It's all about qualifying safely. That's what I did, hopefully for a good lane.
Obviously a busy day, 2 rounds today, and we're talking a little about how you have to sort of increase the intensity round by round. So what do you do between now and the final?
Well, go back, get a little bit of treatment, rest up, and then, you know, the competitive juices take over.
And what about the mindset then that you have to get into? You kind of, you know, talk things out with your coach, you kind of get into a zone of your own?
He always gives me a pre-race talk, but there's not much he has to say. I'm one of the most competitive people out there. I'm ready to go.
Well, we could see that. You've done it many times before. Good luck for the final. Thanks for talking.
So much, of course.
Yeah, lovely to see the smile, lovely to see her moving well again. 22:30 is season's best. That's much more like it. Okakbaru looked good as well, miles ahead of the rest. And Kimberly Duncan with that 22:91 can already say will not be in the final. The American champion ran a really terrible bend there, was better on the home straight, but too much to do. She will be out. Not even a fastest loser spot.
There's the lineup for the final, the women's triple jump, and pride of place will go right at the bottom of the list there. Catarina Ibaguen of Colombia, one of the longest jumpers in the world, and the defending champion Olga Saladuka, another very good Ukrainian. It could be Ukraine's night here tonight in this stadium. Well, nothing much has happened so far in the women's triple jump during this first round. It's Hannah Menenko of Israel who leads at 14:33. But here goes the defending champion for the first time. Not bad. Certainly well over 14 meters. And by the look of that line that's superimposed across the pit there, looks as though she's jumped into first place. She is a class act, twice the European champion. Once the European indoor champion and also the defending world champion here. Good jump, but I'm sure she will go further. When she qualified, she jumped 14:69, but that's 14:42 and good enough for first place. Now, this is a crucial jump for Robbie. 2:32. He hasn't cleared this height this year. A couple of guys have gone clear at the first attempt. Now, can the British number one? No, he can't. So back to the drawing board for Robbie. Just caught it with his heels. He was well clear. And Faz Ahmed will be frustrated with that. He knows that this was a man in form at the right time.
Well, Jodie Williams goes in the next and final semi-final for this women's 200 metres. Good, confident running this morning from the young athlete, Denise.
Absolutely, and it's great to see her back into form. I mean, she's been one of our brightest stars to come out of the UK over the sprints, 1 and 200 metres. This, for me, I think is her better distance. She's looking good, she's confident, which has been the main thing. And she's really worked on her strength a lot this year. And I think it's paying dividends. She's got to run the race of her life, though, here.
I wasn't pleased with this morning. She looked good technically, and she's cleaned that up. That's been one of the great things about what's happened over the last few years. Even though I've been disappointed in her progression, she's cleaned up her form, which will serve her well in the future. But I expected a little more speed endurance this morning. I was a little concerned with that. She was winded when she spoke with Phil, and she looked a little bit tight coming down the home stretch. So it'll be very interesting to see what she does here, because this gets much, much tougher now. She's in a great lane in lane 2. She doesn't have to worry about it being too tight.
Room for improvement then from Jodie Williams. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, of course, going in this one, the champion over 100 metres. Let's hand you to Andrew Cotter.
Yes, room for improvement, but would need huge improvement to make it through to the final, because there is just great talent, great sprinters outside. We saw Anthony Strawn talking about young talent outside of Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. There's Charonda Williams. Hanna-Maria Latvala of Finland sneaked through, strong finish in her heat. And on the outside, in lane 8, Myriam Soumaré, the French champion over 100 and 200. There is Jodie Williams. 19 years old, just a month younger than Antonique Strawn outside, who really is an incredible talent on the world stage. She has a good chance of making the final here. Jodie Williams, she said this was her target, to make the semi-finals, to be here in this stadium in a semi-final in the 200. That's a great achievement. And it is, it's a slow and steady build for Jodie Williams. There's been no rush to compete in senior competition. European under-23 champion Kimberly Hyacinth in the inside lane, 1 from Canada. Jodie Williams there in 2. Antonique Strawn has already seen the other 19-year-old Bahamian Shawnee Miller go through. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce lane 4. Maria Remyen of the Ukraine looking very good in her heat in 5. Charonda Williams in 6, Hannah Maria Latvala in 7, and Miriam Sumari in lane 8. Again, first 2 only to go through automatically. It's not only about making sure of that, but making sure of a good lane draw. And Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce very quickly up, and Maria Remyen, the Ukrainian, a very strong sprinter as well in the early stages, but she's got some work to do, because Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce taking it out with Charonda Williams, keeping pace at the moment. Remyen trying to come through. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is going to win it comfortably. Remyen is working hard to get the second place. She gets it to the roars of the Ukrainian fans. Jodie Williams down in the lower places. But once again, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce looking very strong indeed, and a wonderful run from Maria Remyen. He wasn't phased by Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce appearing on her shoulder early on in the race. She finished strongly, and Jodie Williams will confirm her time later on, but Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is the benchmark for all sprinters at the moment.
And I'm loving Shelly-Ann Pryce's way of finishing that race. She's taking her time, she's shaking the hands of all of her opponents to say thank you very much for being part of that race with me. But as expected, you know, it's something we're going to see on a regular basis with Shelly-Ann. Thunders out the blocks, comes into the home straight, usually in the lead, and with that pitter-patter stride, she just keeps it going. Like a little metronome, really. She just keeps turnover, and manages to hold that. That really just proves us what kind of shape that she's in. She's worked hard, she's conditioned very well, and she can move those limbs so fast. Remyen, well, she hauled herself through to make sure she qualified. A good performance by her. Well, Jodie Williams in lane 2, compact sprinter, a good sprinter technically. We've watched her from a young girl through the youth into the junior ladies, but now when you get into the big league, of course, it makes a big difference. And Jodie, well, she's still on that learning curve, recovering lots from injury, and I think getting through to the semi-final was a challenge in itself, and she's downstairs now talking with Phil.
Well, I'm wondering what Jodie thinks after a day, 2 races on this big stage for the first time. Biggest lessons learned for you, Jodie?
It's been an amazing experience. You know, here I came and I wanted to compete. I feel like I've let myself down a little bit in that race, but I gave it everything I had. It was so hard to come back from this morning to race again this evening. And these girls are just on fire, you know. As I said before, these girls are my idols. They're the people I've looked up to, and to just be here on the same track as them is an honour itself, so I can't be too disappointed, really.
I know at 19 this is just the start for you, and I just want to throw back to last year, really, when you were injured, you missed the Olympics, but you went to watch and you said never again you want to be here competing from now on in on this stage. Yeah,
you know, it's been a tough year again for me. I didn't start speed work until April, so, you know, to even be here is an achievement itself, really. I've really struggled over the last sort of year and a half, and now I feel like I'm probably coming back into some form, and hopefully next year will be a good year for me.
Thanks for talking to us, Jodie. All the best going forward.
Thank you.
A second attempt for Robbie Grabart. 2:32 the target. Now come on, Robbie, stick with it. Oh, it wasn't as dynamic as some of his previous attempts. And the bad news is that 4 athletes have gone clear so far. Derek Druin and Ivan Ukov at the first attempt, and Eric Kennard of the United States and Mutaz Esabashim at the second attempt. And the bad news for everybody is that Bondarenko has passed at this height. So the Ukrainian must be feeling very confident indeed.
There, Robbie, not quite as dynamic as we'd like to see him there. Paula Ratcliffe's joined us, looking forward to the 3,000 steeplechase, but we'll talk sprinting for a while yet, because I want your take on what you saw from Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce there. Not quite as quick as Felix, Michael, in the earlier semi-final. What kind of a threat does she pose, Felix's crown?
She still poses an incredible threat. I mean, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is the class of this field, no doubt about it, but she looked better this morning than she does right here, in my opinion. She didn't separate and gap the field the way that she did this morning. She does ease up a little bit at the end. It's hard to tell sometimes in these early rounds how much effort she's putting in, or any athlete is putting in, but she looks like she was working a little bit harder than she did this morning. She looks like she worked a little bit harder in this round than Allyson Felix and Okpara did. So they both look phenomenal. So it's really setting up to be a
good final.
Really, really good final.
Yeah, Felix looked like she's kind of racing herself into that championship form that we know so well from her.
Well, you can trust her technique. It's delivered on so many times, so many occasions. She is, she's majestic. She's out there. She's out of the blocks. She's really holding Okpara just on her outside there in lane 4, and she just floats. She really is a floaty runner, and you can hear by her interview that she's confident. We questioned her form, but she has relied and trusted on that form for so many years that you'd be wrong to doubt her at this stage of the competition.
She kind of almost sprints with a smile, Michael, and she has those casual glances up to the scoreboard as well. She looks so relaxed.
Exactly, and that was with 100 meters ago, and we both noticed that. And so I think that she really wasn't pressing at all down the home stretch. So, I mean, again, this is a multiple world champion at 200 meters, tremendous amount of experience. So that pays off in these championships. It's going to be a great.
Okay, let's head outside again, because the women's triple jump is really hot.
Well, unfortunately for everybody, nothing really is happening in this triple jump final at the moment. It's still Olga Saladuka, the defending champion, who's leading, but it's a very modest distance indeed. 14:42. Mabel Gay, world championship silver medalist back in 2009 from Cuba. What can she do? The Cubans have got a great record in this event, but even her season has not yet really come to life. Saladuka's jump marked in the sand there, and that looks pretty useful. 14:42, remember, by Saladuka. But nobody has jumped really big. Remember Mabel Gay, when she was a junior, she was a very fine junior. But only 14:32 this season, but that looks pretty much within range of Saladuka, and certainly looks close to anything she's achieved this year so far. In fact, it's a season's best, 14:38, and she moves into second. Ekaterina Koneva jumping in just a moment, but Alexander Shistov has a crucial high jump now. 2:32 at the final time of asking. Can the European champion stay in this final? Yes, he can. Good takeoff, good flight through the air. And the majority of people in this stadium will have been watching that. That was good. We're still waiting for Bondarenko to take his next attempt at what will be the next height. Well above 2:30. Shistov still there. So Koneva now of Russia. Second round jump. Very smooth, and that is long. That is long. Wow. You saw the line superimposed on the sand there of first, second and third, and she's just leapt over all of them. Well, the biggest thing she's achieved in athletics so far is as World Student Games champion. And she is one of the world's top-ranked jumpers this year at 14:82. So we could have expected this, but it has come out of nowhere. 14.81, that is a massive lead. Now, Robbie, if you think back 12 months, you were in there fighting for a bronze medal in the Olympic Games. This is one of those situations. Final attempt, 2:32, and it's not to be. Big disappointment for Robbie and his coach and all of his supporters back home. But he's acquitted himself pretty well, I think. Surely there's more to come this season, but it won't be on this day. He goes out, his best jump, exactly the same as he cleared for the bronze medal last year. Caterina Ibargüen of Colombia now. Well, the Russian has really set the standard, but that is a good jump too. We expected great things of the Colombian. Just watching this again. Now, where did she land? It looks in excess of the lead at the moment. 14.81 leads Ekaterina Koneva. And Ibargüen in the second round looks as though she may have gone even further. 14.85, the longest jump in the world this year. Saladuka now has to respond. It's all been happening in this second round, and that is better, despite the fact I was about to say her takeoff looked a little bit lackluster. One of the reasons Ibargüen went so far was that she maintained her speed through the 3 phases of the jump, and I'm not sure that Saladuka did. Good takeoff though. But certainly this competition has come to life just in the course of the last 4 or 5 jumps. Saladuka, that's got to be her best. Indeed it is, 14.65, but only good enough for 3rd place. Well, the high jump bar with the elimination of quite a few athletes during 2:32 has now gone up to 2 meters 35, and I guess we're going to see the reappearance in this final of Bogdan Bondarenko, who's been absolutely flying. Well, some of the spectators bathed in sunshine. We've rather overlooked this guy in a way. Considered by some to be the best technician in the event today, Derek Drouin. And the man who said that is actually sitting not a million miles away from where I'm sat. Former world record holder and Olympic champion Dwight Stones, the American, carried on jumping well into his 40s. But Derek Drouin, he's been progressing very nicely and very quietly, understated throughout this competition. First time clearances at every height, including 2:32. So if he can become the first man to clear 2:35, he will take a big advantage into the rest of this final. Seven athletes are still left in at this height. That's got to be some sort of record for a World Championship final. He's been assiduously rehearsing his takeoff stance, the technique for the takeoff just before this. But here we go, Drouin of Canada. Oh, that's good. That is good. Just tipped it a little bit on the way up, but not sufficiently to let gravity do its worst. Derek Drouin of Canada is clear in this wild high jump final. First time every height. That is a good performance. And next up will be Eric Kinnaird, the Olympic silver medalist, who had a little bit of a hiccup at the last height with 1 failure, and that means he's going to have to go higher than Drouin ultimately if he wants to beat the Canadian. So Kinnaird of the United States now. No. The Americans were supposed to be defending this title in the shape of Jessie Williams, but Jessie did not even make it through to the final on this occasion. So the American hopes are with this man, but he is a class act when he's on song, but didn't seem to be at this height. There's Robbie Grabart sitting in the background. His challenge, unfortunately, is finished. Be interesting to see what he says, not just about his performance, about potentially what is one of the greatest competitions ever when this competition is all over. Here we go. It's the Bondarenko show. And it's a very small handful of spectators just behind him that are making all the noise. 2 meters 35. That's how good he is. I've got Colin Jackson sat next to me in the comedy box. He had his head in his hands there. That was phenomenal. That was a 240 jump, if ever I've seen one. Oh, my goodness. Shall we make a prediction? I think we should. This guy will go for the world record again today. He will be the toast of the Ukraine tomorrow.
Indeed, there are pockets of Ukrainian supporters here in the Luzhniki Stadium who've coordinated their T-shirts, which we're all admiring, but not as much as we just admired that jump. All mouths here dropped. And if I tell you that Robbie Grabart's got his bronze last year clearing 2:29, he's cleared 2:29 here tonight, and he's out of the competition, and that Bondarenko has jumped 2:41 this season, Barshim's jumped 2:40. What's happened to the high jump in the last 12 months? It just really moved on.
Well, I think last year what we found is that we were so competitive. The guys were pushing each other on to jump really well. And sometimes once that baton's in your hands, like Barshim, he was a bronze medalist as well, but he's showing incredible form. And I just think it just happens like that. It's now the season. You know, that world record has been so long in the making.
It's gonna go, Michael, isn't it?
I mean, just feel it's gonna go.
That jump there looked like a world record.
You never know. I mean, but what happens is in these events, different events, things catch on fire, like Denise said, and once one athlete does it, then the other athletes start going, okay, that's possible, and then they know also that's what I've got to do to actually be in the competition.
Paula, we are looking forward now to the 3,000 steeplechase, the men's steeplechase, of course, the women's was a couple of nights ago. Kemboi, the only man in the field who has run under 8 minutes this season. He looks like the outstanding candidate. The others have got to beat.
He does on paper, but it's going to be very close. I mean, you've also got the fastest man in the field is actually Paul Kipseliya-Koech, and then you've got the youngster Conseslus Kipruto, who I think is going to be a real danger and a real talent. And remember that when Kemboi won that race, he was only just ahead of Makissi of France, who's right in there challenging, and silver medalist behind Kemboi twice now.
So would you say it's in a rich vein of form at the moment, the steeplechase?
I think it's in a good vein. I mean, the talent has always come in the steeplechase traditionally from the Kenyans, but Makissi has really shown that he can challenge.
Let's go watch Yukov.
Here goes the Russian. Yes! Well, the majority of Russians here, of course, supporting the Olympic champion. He's not the only man that's gone clear at this height. Of course, we saw that monstrous effort by Bondarenko. Then Barshim went over as well. So already 4 men clear at this height of 2:35. They've all been listening to Michael Johnson. You've got to be in it to win it. 2:35, the best he's achieved this year.
So the steeplechase final amongst this wonderful atmosphere being created with the home crowd cheering the Russian, the Ukrainian in the high jump. And now I think a brilliant steeplechase in store here. Yes, he is the defending champion. Yes, you kind of look at his times, but this is the new man on the block, Conseslus Kipruto, and behind the scenes a lot of people saying this is his moment. The world junior champion could step up to become the world senior champion. He's beaten Kemboi this year. Evan Jager could spring a surprise, except I think the quality is just too much. I don't think he'll be too far away. He's a great talent, the American. He just might be around at the wrong time. Mutai, Olympic medalist, and people not even talking about his chances here. Bronze medal last year, and of course the man who was ahead of him here, there he is, Mekhissi. Mahedine Mekhissi of France. Well, him and Kemboy are big friends now. They're one of the great pictures from the Olympics last year was Kemboy jumped into Mekhissi's arms, and they said, we're great friends. He's one of my best friends off the track, but on the track, we're big rivals. And they've raced each other so many times, and only once has Mekhissi beaten Kemboy, when Kemboy didn't run well in the Olympics in Beijing. He's been to the World Championship final 5 times, 3 silver medals before 2 gold medals. Will it be 3 for Kemboy? So you got Kemboy, we've got Mekhissi, we've got bronze medalist Mutai, we've got Koech in there as well, as Paula mentioned. So a cracking race as they settle over that first barrier, but of course we've got a cracking high jump final going on as well.
We certainly have Alexander Shustov, the 2010 European champion. Robbie Grabatz, of course, was the European champion last time out, last season. What a high jump final this is proving to be. Shustov already 1 failure at this height. Eric Kennard in the United States now has 2. Not quite, but certainly a valiant attempt. I think everybody is still reeling from that jump by Bogdan Bondarenko. And Shustov, certainly a good athlete, and that is much, much higher than he's achieved this year already, and just 1 centimeter below his lifetime best. Well, the other field final that is going on right on the far side of the arena is the women's triple jump. Here goes Ibargüen of Colombia once more. Oh yes, that is equal to what she achieved in the last round. 14.85, the longest jump in the world. Still, we haven't had a legal 15-meter jump since 2010. The conditions almost perfect here this evening. It's not as far, it's come up at 14 meters 69, but only Saladuka at 14.65 and Koneva, the Russian, at 14.81 are in with a chance of a medal at the moment. Everybody else is miles back, but this is our leader. I can confirm the distance at 14.69. There it is. She still leads.
Well, we've had more than 2 laps of the steeplechase final, and the leader is young Kipruto, who's led them out at a pretty good pace. Slowed after starting very, very quickly. He's got Koech behind him, he's got Mutai, then Mekhissi, and wily old Fox Kemboy just a bit further back in 6th or 7th.
2:45 for the opening 1,000 meters. That's not quite as quick as we would expect, but I'll tell you what, they are setting off with intent now. 3 Kenyans and then even 4 Kenyans were in the lead, and Mekhissi tried to get in amongst them, tried to slow it down, but they weren't having it. And the young man, the man who is the pretender to the crown, the steeplechase crown's been shared around over the years by the great Kenyan steeplechasers. This is the event that they dominate more than any other in the whole of track and field. And this race is getting a bit interesting now, because it's not quite the pace that we thought it would be. And the pace and teamwork here looks to be actually happening, but the man, the danger, the defending champion, the Olympic champion and world champion, back in about 7th place, that's Ezekiel Kemboy. I'm looking forward to see what he does today.
Well, you know, there's no love lost between them, actually, Brendan. You know, there's a couple of friends in this Kenyan team, and there's 2 or 3 others that don't get on particularly well, if you like, amongst the 4 of them. And Kemboy's almost the odd one out these days. You know, he made his own arrangements to come here when the Kenyan team was stranded at Nairobi airport. He's here because he is the defending champion, and they've left Brimin Kipruto at home, of course. They've got an embarrassment of riches, partly because of this youngster. I think he is a huge talent. They've got others to come as well. who aren't here yet, but he could well be the future, and this could be a changing of the guard, but it is also about this man Kemboy. Can Kemboy retain this title here? He's sat in the pack, he's been content to let the youngsters set the pace, and it's, as you said, Brent, not fast but decent.
Actually, Steve, that's not the way you do it, really, is it? The senior members usually allow the youngsters, even if they are promising talents, they usually nurture them along a little bit. And you can see this is a bit of a pity because he's been left out completely there when he looks as though Kipruto there coming down the straight, having led all the way, 3 laps to go in the men's steeplechase, and now a change of leader.
So still only those 4 men clear at the first attempt, albeit at 2:35. Alexander Shustov now, though, has to go higher than he's done all year to stay in this final.
I don't know.
Strong run up. Oh, it was so close. Shustov is out.
About 1,000 meters to go, and this is really heating up now. And McKeesy's sitting back. You know why? Because he's watching Kemboy. He thinks that's where the real danger is. But Koech, he hasn't got the big kick that Kipruto's got. He hasn't got the big kick that Kipruto has as well. And shouldn't write off Mutai, the Olympic bronze medalist. So McKeesy, the tall figure, and Jaeger, the American, staying with this. It's been picked up by Koech, but is this enough to run out the finish of the fast men?
Well, that's exactly what it's supposed to do, but it hasn't quite been fast enough. It's just been a shade off that pace that only these Kenyan athletes can actually live with. But McKeesy has run a wise race now, moving up under the shoulder of Kemboy, the 3rd and 4th athletes. They haven't been near the front yet, but they realize now, with less than 2 laps to go in the men's steeplechase, you've got to get closer. Some of them are quick over the barriers and some of them are quick on the straight. McKeesy actually combines that, but Kemboy is lethal on the last lap. But the pace, I don't think, is taking anything hugely out of them. And the young man, I feel a bit sad for him. He's a great athlete. He's could be a great champion and will be a great champion. But he's been left to his own devices. And now Kipruto hits the front again into the penultimate water jump.
And I know his camp were worried about his tactics. They weren't quite sure what the best thing to do, whether to lead it out into the last lap or to wait for Kemboy and try and out-kick him in the last 150. But it looks as though Kipruto's decided it's not just danger from Kemboy. Jaeger is there, McKeesy is there. And look at Kipruto. He's gesturing to, well, Koech coming up on the outside now. Mutai trying to get back to this group, but there's 5 of them as they take the bell.
Well, there's too many. But there are 3 Kenyans trying to win the gold medal. McKeesy from France and Jaeger running a great race there. But now there'll be fireworks on the last lap. There's not much friendship there between these Kenyans. I haven't enjoyed the way they let the young man take the brunt of the pacemaking here. And Ezekiel Kemboy, the world and Olympic champion, again tries to push his way out. He can't push McKeesy, so he comes onto the outside. And now there goes Kemboy attacking in a strange way down the back straight. And is this a move which is big enough to win this one?
Still not over. Kemboy the first to really strike. McKeesy made his move down the back straight, but still there. Kipruto will be on the inside if they move wide, but I'm not sure he's got anything left to give. And Kemboy kicks hard, and he kicks long here. He's a long way out. There's still one more barrier. Got to get over it safely, and he's good off the last barrier. Kipruto isn't. Loses his momentum. It's going to be Kemboy. Kipruto's still trying to run him down. Has he got time? Oh, it's going to be close, but he gets there. Kemboy points across to him. He does his usual trademark finish in lane 3 or 4. The master is still king of the steeplechase, and that kick, that blistering kick he has, is devastating. And Kipruto, I think a little bit of inexperience there, really let him get ahead. And off that last barrier, Kipruto completely lost his momentum anyway, Bren. But you've got to hand it to Kemboy. He's got the pace to burn.
He has got the pace to burn. He was trying to get out. He got pushed by McKeesy, who ran a good race there. And young Kipruto, you know, only 19 years of age, the world junior champion. I feel really sorry for him. But we are looking now. This is the greatest steeplechaser of all time. 3 times world champion, double Olympic champion, running controversially or exuberantly, however you want to describe it. But at the end of the day, Ezekiel Kemboy, the champion again, the haircut to match, calming the crowd down. Ezekiel Kemboi, once again, a victory for Kenya, and that puts them 10 times they've won the World Championship in the steeplechase. That makes them the biggest degree of domination of any event in the whole of track and field is Kenya's dominance of the men's steeplechase.
We're up to a new height, 2 meters 38 in this final, and you can see what it means to this young man. Bondarenko has passed. That could be crucial. Now it's up to Mutaz Essa Barshim of Qatar, and he flies over. The very first attempt. Olympic bronze medalist equal with Robbie Grabarts last year. And this year he's had to jump 9 centimeters higher to even consider a medal. This height, I think, will determine where some of the medals will be won or lost. And Barshim is in with a shout. That was phenomenal.
As we thought, it's turning into a thrilling high jump competition, reaching new heights, maybe a new world record coming up a little bit later on. Let's talk about that steeplechase, though. I mean, Brendan said it all in terms of what Kemboi has achieved and what Kenya have achieved. How they don't work together, though, and the politics between them is as fascinating as anything else. And, you know, that whole gesturing that Kemboi makes, he's so kind of divisive, isn't he, and controversial.
He is. I mean, he's a real showman, and he really gets involved in that. After the Olympics, he swapped vest with Mukisi going around the photo. But you can see here, Mukisi puts himself in the right place, and the Kenyans are almost just playing amongst each other, and you can see a little bit of that animosity coming off. And Evan Jager had a great race here, got right up there, and the Canadian also ran a big national record behind, so it's good to see them being able to get closer to the Kenyans, but that domination is just still there, and you can just see he's running away and he's playing, and Paul Kipruto comes back and then just gets it totally wrong off this barrier. He lands and he nearly falls backwards. He totally loses his momentum and then picks it up again, and he's closing it again. If there a little bit more, and there would have been more to that story.
Kemboi knew.
Kemboi was playing.
Didn't he?
He was playing. He was already easing down. He's probably already looking up at the screen.
Yeah, at that point before that last barrier, he certainly was. I mean, we've seen him. We saw him with Mackenzie in Paris, giving him a piggyback. He got Mackenzie to give him a piggyback around the arena. He kind of plays up with the crowd, doesn't he? He loves that whole showmanship.
But I think it's brilliant. We don't tend to get the opportunity to see the real personality of some of our great stars. And Kemboi, a bit like Bolt, is such a showman. I mean, we haven't seen him yet do his iconic little dance. Oh, here it comes. I mean, it's just quality. You know, his little body. I don't know what that dance is symbolic of, but it's thoroughly entertaining.
Yeah, I don't either, Denise. I'm not even going to guess what that means, but he's certainly got charisma. Mo maybe needs to have a little look and upgrade the Mobot and do some kind of hip action. Maybe.
Oh, Mo's tried that, believe you me.
Okay, well, we're going outside because the 400 metres medal ceremony, the 400 metres, of course, was run on Tuesday night, the final. LaShawn Merritt getting his World Championship back. That is not LaShawn Merritt, of course. That is our Michael Johnson with his jacket on, looking very smart. And he's up there because he's going to present the medals for this 400 metres. So let's watch and see if he does that with grace and elegance, as we'd expect.
Well, I know Michael Johnson being introduced to the crowd. I know he enjoyed the 400 metres because it was a great display, wasn't it, from LaShawn Merritt? We were all talking about Kirani James. Even Michael was talking about, you know, where he's going in his career. Is he going to break Michael's world record one day? Well, he is a great young talent, but it wasn't his day, and he got destroyed really by Merritt. Santos, another great teenager. This is 2 major medals in 2 years. Olympic medalist and now World Championship medalist. Still just 19 years of age, the man from Dominican Republic. Ran in the relay earlier on tonight. He's had a busy evening. And I know Michael thinks this guy is a real talent as well, continuing to improve. Miguelin Santos finished like a train in the final when others were fading, particularly Kirani James. think Tony McQuaid will be delighted to be on the rostrum. He is a talent. I'm not sure we've seen the best of him yet, but he, I think, ran a good race in the sense that he didn't worry about what James was doing, what Merritt was doing. He came into the home straight with every opportunity and finished very, very strongly indeed, and a new personal best to go with that silver medal. Big first 200 for LaShawn Merritt. He'd seen, of course, Kirani James take the world title, take the Olympic title, and came here very much as the number 2, but he had beaten Kirani James once this year, and maybe used that as a little bit of a starting point in terms of working out his tactics on the day, and he delivered brilliantly, didn't he? It was a fastest time of the year, well leading 43.74, and that top bend was where it was all won, and James, when he got into the home straight, had nothing left to give. So gold to America and the silver, bronze to Dominican Republic. So Merritt back on top of the rostrum, and of course the 4x4 yet to come. I'm sure these two will play a part in the final when involved today. Santos had to try and help his team. They didn't get through tonight though. 3 medalists in the men's 400 meters.
Well, just a reminder, and bad news for all the high jumpers, is that Bogdan Bondarenko has passed on this height of 2:38. Another bit of bad news, Derek Drouin, if he wants to stay in this final, has got to clear a new Canadian record, and he has done! Oh, fantastic! Second attempt, sailed over, new lifetime best, new Canadian record. And he's still in there fighting, so Barshim at his first attempt, and Drouin now of Canada are clear at 2:38. Thank you very much indeed. Ivan Ukov now has to get this, and he has not. The Olympic champion will not win a world title this time. A huge disappointment for the Russian crowd here. He's been pretty good up until this height. First time clearances all the way, then 3 failures at 2:38. There's his teammate Shustov trying to lift him over, but not to be. It's still the Ukrainian show through Bondarenko, but Drouin is in there fighting as well, and so is Barshim. And a former world champion, Donald Thomas of the Bahamas, won the Bahamas' first ever field event jumble throws medal at the World Championships in 2007. Now he's got to get this to stay in. Otherwise it's down to 3 jumpers. No. So this is where the real fun and game starts. The bar now moves up to 2:41, and never in World Championship history have we had 3 jumpers in at that height. And that would be a new championship record too.
safely enough. Child still looking strong.
Here comes Perry Shake Straighten. Very, very good.
Of course I'd love to come home with some kind of win.
Ailey Child will get there.
Just got to go for it all and leave everything I have on the track.
We are 5 minutes away from the women's 400 metres hurdles final. We have, of course, Perry Shake Straighten and Ailey Child both going for Great Britain in that. And Colin Jackson is down in the commentary box. And Colin, they both made improvements this year, no doubt. Where do you see them, you know, where has that actually been technically, or has it been the flat speed? Why have they made such improvements?
Well, the most important thing is the flat speed that's really come strongly through both these women. They worked very hard indeed on their flat speed. They went indoors, they competed head-to-head indoors on the flat races. They also went to major championships, won medals on the flat. So I think that's where we've seen the biggest improvement from them. But you know, in sprint hurdle, it's not just about getting fast. You know, in the 400 meter hurdles, what you've got to do really is marry this good newfound speed that you have with literally flawless technique and a good rhythm. And you've got to work hard on your endurance factors too. There's so many elements of getting this rate so right and ultimately getting you the good positions.
Of course, Heineva has been the woman to beat all season. And what is it that she has at the moment that Perry is just behind her in most of their head-to-heads?
Do you know, it's what I've said literally, Gabby, is that Heineva has married this flat sprinting speed that she's herself has worked hard on and gathered with, I mean, when I say this, honestly, it's incredible hurdling skill. She never panics. She's not the fastest. But if you watch her over these barriers, she's super slick. There's nothing really that can get in her way. She just takes the barriers as they come. And if you're a budding 400 meter hurdler, watch how Heineva approaches this race and try and copy it.
Colin, enjoy. We all will. Fingers crossed for our ladies. Let's hand you down to Steve Cram.
Hanna Jarachik is on the inside, the European bronze medalist from Ukraine, getting a big cheer from the crowd in here. They're hoping that she can produce something brilliant. Nikisha Wilson actually was fourth back in 2007 in the World Championships. Ran season's best to qualify for this final, 54.94. Not sure she's going to be a danger. This is the favourite. Well, she's got a new coach. The new coach is one of the reasons she's made all the difference. She's coached by the same man who coaches Maslak, the Czech 400-meter runner, and it's that flat speed that's improved as well with her. And she said, this new regime suits me. Lucinda Dimas, the defending champion, all of a sudden started to rediscover some of the form which saw her again in Daegu when she won the gold medal, ran a US record, 52.47. She's coached by her mum, actually, Lucinda Dimas. More of that in a second. Perry Shake Straighten. Well, Sally Gunnell won a silver medal in '91 before she went on to win that world title, of course, and Olympic title in the ensuing years. About the same age as Perry Shake Straighten is now. Can she get onto the rostrum? And a word for Chris Saar, her coach. What a great job he's done. Lucinda Dimas, her mum, Yolanda, also coaches this young lady here. This is Dalila Mohammed, and I think she could be a danger. She's talked about her flat speeds getting better. She says, I struggle around about hurdle 8, though. She did in the semi-final, but she still ran a pretty quick time. Hanna Titimets, the World Student Games champion. That championships held in Russia just recently, and a 54.63 clocking in the semi to get through. Lane 8 for Ailey Child. She's used to it. She's been running in Europe all year. She's been getting lane 1, lane 8. She won't be fazed by that. What a great season Ailey Child's been having. The Commonwealth silver medalist when she was representing Scotland, of course, 3 years ago. Now running for Great Britain with Perry Shake Straighten, the two of them in the women's 400-meter hurdles final. Well, nobody has successfully defended this title. And Dimas, the Olympic silver medalist, has watched Heineva Shake Straighten, the future of the event, if you like, pass her by this season on the circuit. But Dimas could still be a danger, and also Mohammed as well. So Heineva's in 3. Dimas, who will start quickly, will be in 4. Shake Straighten in 5. Mohammed in 6. Ailey Child on the outside in lane 8. The women's 400-meter final, women's 400-meter hurdles final.
Away they go. And as per script, Demas has started the quickest. Mills the first to rise, the American in lane 4. Perry shakes straight and will not have to panic as Demas comes up towards her. Ailey Child going well in lane 8 also, but Perry started well here, and Heineva's got a little bit of ground to make up, and Perry just hits that hurdle, just knocks her off balance a little bit. And the two Americans are going well. Mohammed outside Perry shakes straight, and Demas still leading it, and here comes Heineva, the two British athletes not in the medal position. Perry's going to have to be really strong in the home straight to get into this. Heineva coming into the lead. Demas has attacked this hard, and so has Mohammed, and Perry's not looking good at the moment. But Heineva stretching away. Tallulah Mohammed is coming through, perhaps to take the silver ahead of Demas, but look at Heineva and watch the clock. It's a big performance. Brilliant run, 52.84. Mohammed takes the silver, Demas takes the bronze, and Perry was broken. What a run by the Czech Republic athlete. She's got better and better and better all year long, and that time puts her right up there on the all-time lists. She is a great talent and has improved and improved and improved. And what a way to run in a final, what a way to win your gold medal. Completely dominated, didn't panic when Demas went out hard, she knew that would happen. Perry hit I think it was the third hurdle down the back straight, and that seemed to upset her a little bit. I thought the other American could be a real danger, and she came through for the silver medal as well. And you've got to hand it to Demas, got a season together late. But what about Heineva, Colin? Word about her first before we talk about the British girls.
Okay, let's talk about the new world champion. We knew she had the opportunity of going under 53 seconds because the way she was qualifying so well, so comfortably, and of course arriving here with 53.07. She has annihilated that performance, going under 53 seconds with 52.84. And there's going to be plenty more left for this young lady. I'm sure that she can be the person to attack, and I really mean that, attack that world record.
A chance for Derek Drouin to get his name on a medal now. We don't know what colour. 2:41. Not to be. He's already set a national record at 2:38.
Here we go. Hey, no, we mentioned there, she came off the bend well, and she just kept driving. When you've got a flawless technique, she doesn't need to worry about what the stride pattern will be at the end here. She just drives into each of those barriers, very comfortable on each leg, and look what you can do when you've got those type of skills.
Well, there's so much great stuff going on in this stadium now. There'll be a huge cheer if Bondarenko can go clear at 2:41. And he can't. 2/3 of his body was way over the bar. That is prodigious jumping. But just at the last moment, the bar came crashing down. The first failure in this final. Well, Barshim now trying to get the crowd on his side. The majority of the spectators behind the high jump area are Ukrainian, and they've just seen their man knock the bar off for the very first time in this final. Barshim now never cleared this height in his life. If he does so this time, it could be a gold medal. And he too fails. So all three men left in this final have failed at their first attempts. Drouin, Bondarenko, and now Barshim. But this competition, this final, is definitely not over.
Cracking high jump final, and it was a great 400-metre hurdles final, but not from a British point of view. Colin, just talk us through this. Demas was always going to start fast and put Perry under a little bit of pressure down the back straight there, but what happened from your point of view?
I don't think Perry's used to clattering hurdles, Steve. And when Demas came up to her, she could feel the presence of Demas, and there she smacked that hurdle, and that slightly knocked her off her edge a bit. And I think sometimes what happens when you're running the hurdles, when you make a mistake like that, it kind of gets you in your brain, and you start panicking and think to yourself, oh, I wish I didn't make that mistake. She clattered another hurdle there. So you can imagine now she's feeling really disappointed in her hurdling. She can see these 3 athletes in front of her, athletes she knows she's been very close to all year. And I think she'd be very disappointed when she sees what those times are.
And a word for Ailey. I mean, out in lane 8, she still ran, I think, a pretty solid race in 5th place, 54.86. The two of them now are with Phil.
Well, thanks a lot, Steve. Ailey, a tremendous 5th place finish for you. Give me your take on the race, first of all.
Yeah, it wasn't a great race. I lost my stride on the back straight, then I was just trying to fight it back the whole way, but I did feel a bit tired tonight, but I can't really complain 5th in the world final. You know, I wanted to come here and get to the final, and I just want to do a little bit better when I was actually in the race.
Culmination of what's been a tremendous season for you.
Yeah, it is. This has sort of been the pinnacle of it, and my whole aim for the season was to come here and make the final. And if you said to me it's actually now would be 5th in the world champs, you know, I'd taken that, but see the times and knowing that I'm quicker than that, you know, and I could have been in contention for a medal. I'm a little bit disappointed at that.
Thanks for talking to us. We'll let you go off and face the rest of the mix zone. Thanks.
Thanks very much.
And Perry, we can bring you in. I know you've just got an ice pack down there. You've been holding on your knee. What's happened exactly, Perry?
Well, in the race, I felt like my knee was wobbling and doing something I shouldn't have been doing. Has to be seen to now. So it has to be seen to now. I'm gutted, obviously. I was doing so well and I felt so good. But in that race,
we know that's not you. So just when did the knee thing happen? Was it when you clattered the hurdle?
No, before that. I was like, oh God, what's going on? I wasn't sure. I was like, please hold on, because I was still pushing. And it was just, I was losing control. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Well, you need to get treatment. I can see you hobbling. So of all the time for it to happen, Perry, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Thanks for talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bogdan Bondarenko, a first glitch in this final for him at 2:41. It's still the greatest high jump final in World Championship history. But this could be a gold medal winning jump. Second attempt, he flies over. The Ukrainian posse are going nuts up in the stadium. 2:41. He just showed a little chink in his armour on the first attempt, but he absolutely nailed that one. And now Drouin, who's already had 2 failures, and Balshim have got to respond if they want to get the gold medal. But it does seem as though there's only one man in it at the moment. Bogdan Bondarenko takes pole position for the time being. Well, Ireland's World Championship history at the moment is Eamon Coghlan, 5,000 metre champion way back in the first World Championships, and Sonia O'Sullivan too, but now they have a 3rd world champion, Robert Heffernan, taking the 50-kilometre walk gold medal. He's finished 4th in European Championship history and in the Olympic Games too, but this time he gets the gold medal. And certainly after a big celebration yesterday evening, the celebrations will continue. Jared Talent, the bronze medalist, and Ryzhov of Russia, the silver. But Robert Heffernan, a big gold medal for him for Ireland.
Congratulations to Ireland, to Rob Heffernan as well. Of course, a heritage of women walkers in Ireland. Gillian O'Sullivan got a medal, Paula, didn't she?
Yep, and Oliver.
Yeah, but this is their first men's gold, so congratulations to them. But it wasn't so good about 10 minutes ago for Great Britain, especially when it came to one-lap hurdling, because we had high hopes, Denise, didn't we, for Perry Shrake Straight? And she's shown form all season, got close to Hanover in various Diamond League events, but everything that could possibly go wrong in that race for her seemed to be presenting itself. And then when we hear afterwards that she felt her knee go early on, it doesn't sound very good.
It doesn't, and she was in the right frame of mind. She was confident. She's proved it. But I felt the problem was always going to be Latinda Dimas on the outside in lane 4. On the inside lane 4. She's such a quick starter over the 200, and I just wonder whether that was what caused the problem over that third hurdle that rattled her, knocked Perry off her stride. We can't see any obvious problems right now with Perry and her stride length, but clearly mentally she just was not in the right frame of mind, and then she was just out of the race as far as I'm concerned.
When she'd hit that third hurdle, she was off her stride.
Yeah, and it's such a cadence event. I mean, it's all about cadence and getting into a rhythm. And so once the rhythm was off, as Colin said, things were very, very difficult for her from that point on. But here she does look like she's wobbling a little bit and something's really wrong. She did look a little bit wobbly on the backstretch to me. Now, she sometimes runs that way a little bit, but she did look a little bit wobbly, so something was wrong early on in the race.
Ailey Childs' 5th place will cement what has been a really good progressive season for her, Paula.
Absolutely. I mean, she's come in with the aim of making the final. Like she said, once she's there, of course, she wants to do better. And she feels that she didn't go as fast as she could have done. But still, that's a very good run and a big progression on.
Yeah, because the PB that Perry has got herself this season would have given her a silver. She has run much better, much quicker. Huge frustration.
Huge frustration, but you can't think like that. It really has to be in the zone and about the race itself. And if she's hurt, then it's all explained. And like you said, things weren't good from the start.
Congratulations to Hanover from the Czech Republic, who ran absolutely supreme race, and she's been there all season. She is the woman head and shoulders above the rest in that event. But let's go out now. It's the turn of the men, and Andrew Cotter is there for you.
Yes, the men's come. Let's just tidy up the results of the women's, because head and shoulders above the rest she has been throughout the season, and she delivers on the big stage as well. Hanover gold, Mohammed silver, Dimas bronze. Disappointing for the Britons. Ailey Child taking 5th place though. But 30 years ago, when the World Championships were first held, one man dominated. Ed Moses remains for many the greatest of all time. No one man this year really is dominating this event. But look out for Felix Sanchez, possibly Omar Cisneros of Cuba. Could he become Cuba's first male track world champion? There is Sanchez. There are athletes here who could make history. Felix Sanchez going for a 3rd world title to add to 2 Olympic crowns. Cisneros has looked very, very strong. Michael Tinsley as well came into this the favourite, but athletes like Cisneros and the way that Jehu Gordon has been running have added just a little bit of doubt. Tinsley, the silver medalist in London last year, behind this man. Such an emotional victory. We saw behind the shades for a change the character, the emotion. After winning in Athens, the Olympics, then he won in London. And he has won twice the World Championship crown. But Omar Cisneros hasn't looked too impressive when he's been racing in Europe this season, but suddenly here in the World Championships he is delivering, and how. Jehu Gordon looks to be at his very best here. Hugely impressive, winning his semi-final from Javier Coulson. Would have gone below 48 seconds without easing up. And in lane 7, tall Puerto Rican, bronze at the Olympics, silver at the last 2 World Championships. A couple of Diamond League victories this season. And the youngster, but he looks very, very experienced and strong. Hugely powerful young serve, Emir Bekric, European under-23 champion. Gave Tinsley a good race in the semi-final. So we have Clement, 2 times a world champion, in lane 1. Then Mamadou Kassehan of Senegal. There is Cisneros. Tinsley in 3. Sanchez in 4. Cisneros goes in 5. Jehu Gordon, Trinidad and Tobago, in 6. Javier Coulson in lane 7 and Emir Bekric in lane 8. This may prove to be one of the most fiercely contested finals of this World Championships. Clement, Han, Tinsley, Sanchez, Cisneros, Gordon, Coulson, Bekric. 8 men to contest the final of the men's 400 metres hurdles. They rise and go first time to a roar from the crowd. Evenly paced throughout the first round in the semi-finals. All have looked strong, but making the strongest start at the moment, Michael Tinsley already up alongside Felix Sanchez and passing the 2-time Olympic champion. And Tinsley going very hard. Cisneros running well, 2 lanes outside. And also looking strong, Javier Coulson in the white headband in lane 7. And at the moment it's Cisneros and Coulson and Michael Tinsley in lane 3, the American. He came in as the favourite. Has he gone out too fast? Has he got something left in the home straight? Jehu Gordon will try and chase him down. Omar Cisneros tries to come, but he looks spent. So too Coulson. It's between these two. It's between Tinsley and Jehu Gordon. A race for the line for the gold. And Jehu Gordon may have got there with a dive. Tinsley and Gordon are all out, all spent and on the ground. What a race. What a final. The gold medal still to be decided.
You enjoyed that, Andrew. It's a strong, strong performance. We knew it was going to be for those two. I saw Jehu in Monaco run exactly the same type of race. Comfortable around the turn, but coming down home straight, really focused. Knew that he was going to take a personal best. He was going to take this gold medal. He worked hard. He's slick over this final barrier. No staggering. Now it's all about who is the strongest. Who wants this title the most? They're going to lean towards the line. And what do you reckon, Andrew?
Well, I reckon, because I know, because I've seen the official result, the man nearest to Jehu Gordon on the dive has got it by 1/100th of a second from Michael Tinsley, and Jehu Gordon is the world champion.
2 men lifting this high jump final. This is the first of them, Barshim of Qatar. The height is 244. And just to let you know the full extent of what Barshim was trying to do there, only 1 man ever has gone higher in the history of high jumping. Javier Sotomayor, who's still the world record holder after so long. Barshim, only 1 more attempt left to stay in this final. Otherwise, the crown of high jump world champion will go to Bogdan Bondarenko.
Well, the flag of Trinidad and Tobago around the shoulders of Jehu Gordon by 1/100th of a second, the quickest time this year. He's produced it on the biggest stage. We thought it was going to be very close between almost all the athletes here. 2 separated themselves, and what a finish between Gordon and Tinsley.
Tinsley, he set off like a man possessed, chasing down Felix Sanchez. We all knew this was going to be his tactic, though. He tends to do this a lot on the circuit, goes out very hard indeed. And he must have been very confident in his running. If you look at all the men in front of him, they seem to be running a far more cagey race. But I can assure you, they're all moving very quickly indeed. You must remember that winning time was a world-leading performance. It's around about now where Jehu can feel the fact that Tinsley's ahead. He can see him in his peripheral vision, and now he makes that real surge, drive into each of these barriers. It's taken a long time for us to see this young man reach these heights, but look how hungry he was for this victory. He was going to take it right to the line. Look at that lean. Whoa, I would have been proud about that lean in my day.
Well, we talked about Jehu Gordon. 4 years ago, as a 17-year-old, he finished 4th at the World Championships and then stalled a little bit and didn't quite fulfill that potential, but he has done now. A word for the man on the outside, Emir Bekric in lane 8 as well, because he's taken 0.3 of a second off his personal best to take the bronze medal.
I was talking to some of the Serbs earlier, and they were very excited about this young man. They said to me, Colin, what do you think of him? And I said, he's in with a shout. Remember, he had a very strong finish in the semi-final, so we couldn't discount him, and yet again, he was the strongest of the rest. He came from way back, about 6th place, going into the final barrier. But look at him there, he works for this. He knows he can be in with a medal. And there's not many times that you get this opportunity. He's taken it, wonderful stuff.
And that's how close it was on the lean from Jehu Gordon, a lean that earns a gold medal. confirmation of that. 47.69, quickest in the time in the world this year from Jehu Gordon. Tinsley second, Beckrich with a national record, big personal best to earn the bronze medal.
The triple jump drawing to a close now. This is the 6th and final round, and a last chance for Olga Saladuka to defend her world title that she won so brilliantly 2 years ago, and she hasn't done it. 30 years old now, so a chance for a second world title may just be running out. Consistently one of the best in the world, if not the best, for the last few years. She gave it everything. Good run up, good 3 phases, but not far enough. Still 2 more jumpers to go. The athletes lying in 1st and 2nd place, and at the moment it's Ibargüen of Colombia who holds the lead. Back to the high jump, a last chance for a young man who's aiming to become the world champion, but boy, he's got to produce something special. It's one of the greatest heights in history in terms of high jumping that's ever been attempted, let alone cleared. Only Sotomayor, the great Cuban, has ever gone higher. So Mutaz Essa Barshim, he's got the silver medal. Could it be gold? No. It was a terrific attempt. What a high jump final we've had. So we're down to 1 man. We now know the destination of the gold medal. Bondarenko has won, but what is he going to have the bar raised to? There he is. He's getting his jumping spikes back on. Already got her jumping spikes back on is Ibargüen. She's won this triple jump. Koneva, the Russian, couldn't go further. The title belongs to Colombia, but how far can she go? Almost further, but she gets a foul. It was silver in London last year. This time it's gold in Moscow. So the Colombian triple jump star becomes the world champion. 14 meters 85. Ekaterina Koneva of Russia, there she is, wins the silver, 14 meters 81. And Olga Saladuka of the Ukraine, it's been a good night for the Ukraine already. 14.65, she gets the bronze medal. And it all happened in terms of the best distances in the competition in the 2nd round. The Colombian has led for a long time. Koneva, her last attempt was valiant. She couldn't close the gap. Neither could the defending champion, Saladuka. So big smiles all around for Colombia's superstar. There's the result. Longest jump in the world it took to bring Caterina Ibargüen the World Championship gold medal. Ekaterina Koneva, one of her best jumps of her life, 14.81. Olga Saladuka, the defending champion, a little below par, but she does want another World Championship medal. This time it's the bronze.
Fantastic field this evening, and the high jump goes on. Bondarenko's going for a world record, $100,000 bonus if he gets it here as well. So it'd be a nice evening for him, wouldn't it? And all those Ukrainian fans and supporters who've come here this evening hope that he will be successful. We will, of course, be all over that when he takes his tracksuit off and starts to jump again. But we haven't looked back, Michael, at that 400 hurdles yet, which was about as dramatic a finish as you can get in 400 hurdling, wasn't it? 100th of a second between Gordon and Tinsley.
Yeah, it came down to the lean, and I was really looking forward to this event coming into the championships, because the 400-meter hurdles over the last few years has been one of the toughest events with so many competitors. I said before this that, you know, Javier Coulson and Jehu Gordon were running best, and that either one of those guys could win the gold medal or they could not medal at all. And we see that Jehu Gordon is running a very good race here, and Javier Coulson ends up out of the medals. Karan Clements in there, Felix Sanchez, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, Karan Clements, double world champion. It's just a very tough event, but these guys are running on a really fast pace here. And Jehu Gordon there in the middle of the track, over in lane 6, just really running a really nice pace here and times it just perfectly. Michael Tinsley has been hot all season, leading the race up until the very, very last minute. And Jehu Gordon, just like Christina Hulugu, not giving up until the last second, and then times that lean just perfect for 1,000th of a second. Michael Tinsley runs a personal best and gets second. That's always difficult to run your personal best and not win it. Javier Coulson medaled in all of the championships the last few years, starting to fade here. It's if the rhythm is not right, and you can see there as he comes off that hurdle, the rhythm is not right, but the rhythm is perfect for Jehu Gordon here. He had so much momentum coming off that final hurdle. It just sets him up perfect, and he looks at this point as he's just starting the race. He was in about the middle of the pack at 200 meters and just times this perfect. Michael Tinsley can do nothing about it at this point because the momentum for him is starting to fade, but the momentum is on the side of Jehu Gordon. And he's been working really hard this year. He came down to our center down in Texas. We did some analysis on him, really helped his coach out a lot. And he said to me then that he really wanted to reach his potential. I remember him as a 17-year-old in 2009 in Berlin, 4th place, and thought great things were going to happen for this kid. Unfortunately, it hadn't happened yet, but now he's starting to come around and come into his own.
It's such a competitive race. There's so much talent of all kinds of different, shapes, sizes. And you look at Brkic there, the big guy who we noticed he stood out, didn't he, Denise, in the semi-finals. He thrust himself forward for a fantastic 3rd place there as well. And the likes of Coulson, who's a double silver medalist, got run out.
Exactly, but it's so important that you come with your best form, and the Serbian did, setting a new national record there. You've just got to lift your game in this type of event, and especially in the 400 hurdles, as Michael says, so competitive. If you're in the right place at the right time, you can snatch those medals.
Cisneros as well. We were looking at him from the semis, Paula, thinking that he might be a threat to the medals. And it's at Brkic, when you get a new name and a new face, it's exciting for the event, isn't it?
It is very exciting, and I think nobody really had a bad race there. It was just the standard was so high, and they were all so close together that somebody was always going to lose out there.
Yes, you can hear in the background the anthem there for Kemboy, who of course won the steeplechase a little bit earlier on in a fantastic start. It was a fantastic race. He really is supreme in that event. And there you go, Kenya 1 and 2. He's closer to the Frenchman than he is to his own teammate, which tells you everything you need to know there about the relationship between the Kenyan steeplechasers. But the high jump there, Bondarenko is going for a world record. And just as the crowd the other night, Denise, was so excited in that area watching Isinbayeva, there's a real buzz down there now.
There really is. The Ukrainians here in force because they know that their man has now got the gold medal, but it's how high can he go at this point. He's been supreme all season. It's just been thrilling to see field events of this caliber finally in these World Championships, and it promised to be that way with Barshim also over 240 this year, so it's very exciting, and let's see if he does it.
Just looking there on the screen to see if he was taking his tracksuit off and starting. It doesn't look like at the moment he is. He's 246 is the aim, which is just blows your mind, Michael, doesn't it, how high these guys jump.
Yeah, it does, and I remember when Javier Sotomayor broke that world record back in 1993, everyone just looked at that and thought, oh my God, that's not going to be broken for some time, and it hasn't.
There's Hannah England, Paula, coming out for this 1500-metre final. It's our last final of the evening here. The sun is setting beautifully. She knows how to race on the big stage. She got a silver in Daegu. Disappointment last season. What kind of shape is she in? What can she hope to finish tonight?
Hannah's in very good shape. I've seen her some of our training sessions recently in Palmamo before she came in, and she's in really, really good shape, but she's in a very, very tough race. I mean, Aragawi really is the one to beat out there, but she's got Faith Kipyegon, Jenny Simpson of the USA, really, really good shape too, and it's going to be a tough race, but I do think Aragawa is going to take it.
Beautiful red sky over Red Square, and a beautiful evening here could turn into something very special if Bondarenko is successful. Let's go back to Paul Dickinson.
Mr. Bondarenko himself just saying to the crowd, just shh, let me concentrate. He has actually attempted to go higher than this in the past. At the London Diamond League, he had the bar raised to 247, 2 centimetres over Mr. Sotomayor's record. But here he goes. He's got the gold medal. Can he do something nobody else in history has done? No, he can't, but it wasn't a million miles away. He's got 2 more attempts to go.
Well, it wasn't a bad attempt, was it? That's high jump. The medals have been decided there, but this women's 1500 is a tough competition. I think Hannah England will look down at this start list and see talent everywhere. Aragawi will definitely start as the favourite, but plenty of people with chances here. Jenny Simpson is the defending champion, with Hannah England, ran so well in Daegu 2 years ago. Kipyegon, the new name from Kenya, the youngster. Aragawi, the world #1 this year. Sharmina, the best of the Russians perhaps. They also got Korobkina to join her. Zoe Buckman, the Australian, who's been running personal bests to get into the final. Nancy Langat, former Olympic champion. Genzebi Dibaba, you only have to say that name and know that she's good. Helen Obiri of Kenya, the Kenyan champion. Mary Kane, the best junior talent to come out of America, perhaps in a generation. And then Hilali of Morocco. Well, she's wearing the Swedish strip. Doesn't spend a lot of time in Sweden, it has to be said. She's a little bit of a controversial figure, Aragawi. She was given Swedish citizenship last year, and Ethiopian, trains there, pretty much still bases herself there most of the time. And Aragawi couldn't be one of the hotter favourites, really, and that's a difficult thing to say, because anything can happen in 1500-metre running. And yes, she's been incredibly dominant on the Diamond League scene and has looked actually quite relaxed in terms of qualification here as well. But, and it's always a but, isn't it? Because in the 4 years ago, there were fallers. We had fallers in the Olympics last year. Tactics play a part. Hannah England waited and waited 2 years ago in Daegu and came through brilliantly, the same as Jenny Simpson, the home straight, took a silver medal on that occasion, and nobody would have said she could do that before the race. So who knows? She's in pretty good shape, Hannah, and has come here well prepared. Last year, of course, she had her preparation for the Olympics curtailed with that Achilles tendon injury. I watch out for the Kenyans, though. There's Kipyegon wearing #2 on the side of her shorts. Genzebi Dibaba in the Ethiopian vest with #9 over there. And Langat, the former Olympic champion, starting to come back into some sort of form. Quick word, Brendan. Aragawi the favourite, but well, we might go on very quickly with, I think we're just waiting for Bondarenko to go again.
Hannah England looks really controlled out there. She looks really calm and relaxed, and she's going to have to gauge her tactics today, because the tactics for her are going to be so important. And still the stadium is excited as the high jump continues. Crowds all around watching for this one. Another attempt at this fantastic height.
Just over a minute to go before Bogdan Bondarenko starts his run-up and attempts a new world record in the high jump. He was close last time. What can he do this time? He's got the gold medal, but this would be the most amazing jump in the history of the event. Looks up for it, doesn't he? And certainly the crowd are too. 37 seconds to go. He's been supreme throughout this final. He's done nothing wrong at all. Possible world record awaits Bondarenko. Oh my goodness, that was close. That was close indeed. One more attempt, and that will come in a few minutes' time.
Oh, that was close, wasn't it? Well, from a great talent in the high jump to a brilliant talent in distance running. This is Mary Kane, just 17 years of age. She's broken every single record from 800 to 5,000 meters in America in the junior or the high school age group, if you like, and is just getting better and better. She will be finishing strong. I don't know what else is going to happen, but if it's a slow race and the tactics are typical sort of championship 1500-meter running, then you never know. Somebody like Mary Kane could get in the mix there, but Hannah England's done it before. And all of these women, nervous moments, these, Bren, because of Bondarenko on the high jump. They're holding this. Obviously, the crowd here are concentrating on that high jump, and it's probably a good thing. And nerves are going to be jangling around there. Just need to stay calm, accept that it's going to be a few minutes before you get underway, and a little bit of experience doesn't go amiss yet. And Hannah's been through this a few times before.
She has been a few times before in this scenario. And let's face it, the high jump is taking center stage. The crowd are right behind it. It is extremely exciting. And for her, it's about concentrating on yourself. Just keep your thoughts and your ideas and your plan for the race. And the one thing about Hannah's plan that often makes me nervous is she hates going outside. She loves to stay on that inside track. She's got confidence sometimes when the gaps open, but sometimes the gaps don't open. And when they're slow, that's when these athletes get into trouble, and that's where we've seen falls in the last championships and in the British Championships in the same sort of scenario. But Hannah England, I think she's ready to make a good account of herself, and I'm impressed with the way she looks. So outwardly, she looks so calm.
Well, there's the bar, 2:46. The massed ranks of the Ukrainian supporters wearing their blue and yellow. There they are, waiting for their man. He's had 2 good attempts so far, and then the 1500-meter women patiently waiting. And the defending champion from America, Jenny Simpson. Can she do it again? Well, it would be a surprise. She was in the same semi-final as Aragawi and Obiri of Kenya, and the 3 of them did look very good. Simpson's done a great job of getting herself back into top form.
Steve, you know, when these athletes are in this scenario, and you were in that scenario many times, if this world record in the high jump was being happening and you were on the track, would you have had a look or not?
No.
Would some others?
Well, they might do. I mean, obviously, if he does this and the clocks start ticking and he'll walk out in a second. But if he clears it, and let's face it, he's had 2 good attempts, the roar that will go up in the stadium here, Paul, will be immense, and inevitably the 1500-meter runners will have to take a few minutes to compose themselves. But he's been close, Paul. This is it.
It's been a wonderful evening once more. The one thing that these World Championships have lacked is a world record. Last time a major international track and field meeting was in this stadium, of course, was way back in 1980 at the Olympic Games. There were plenty of world records then. But could this be the moment? It's certainly the moment for this guy. Certainly the moment for his supporters, and there are lots in the stadium, not just the group that you can see just to the left-hand side of the screen there. And the big picture there of the silver medalist, Mutaz Essa Barshim, just 22 years old. But there's a whole bunch at the other end of the stadium too. A defining moment in this young man's high jumping life, and his life too. Can he become not just the world champion, but the world record holder as well? Here we go. No, a massive anticlimax, but it doesn't matter. Another gold medal for the Ukraine. Deservedly so too. What a show he's put on. Let's not forget he has jumped higher than any other man in history in these World Championships. It's not often you say that Javier Sotomayor has lost a record, but he has tonight. The championship record that he set way back in Stuttgart in 1993, the same year as he set the world record in Salamanca. There's his dad, his father. What a proud man he must be. So a wonderful moment for the Ukraine. A very proud father and a superstar athlete as well.
Well, this will test the officials because he's just walked out right in front of the 1500-meter runners. He wants to do his lap of honor. He's got the Ukrainian flag draped across his shoulders. And he's been asked to go back inside just for a few moments. And the crowd, of course, wanting to enjoy his moment, and rightly so, and they'll get the chance to do that. But it's they have to be fair to the 1500-meter runners, and he'll understand that as well. So for Hannah England, This is where she wants to be. She couldn't make the final last year in the Olympic Games. Much better prepared this year. One or two little scares with niggles, not injuries, but little niggles. But has been in superb form. But this is tough. This is a very, very high quality field here. The defending champion, Jenny Simpson. The #1 in the world, Aragawi, representing Sweden. The Kenyans, Hellen Obiri, who's the world indoor champion at 3,000 meters. Let's go all the way along the line. This is Halali, who was an Olympic finalist back in 2008 and is the recent Mediterranean Games champion. But Mary Kane talked so much about her. Whatever happens today, we'll be seeing a lot of her in the coming years. 4-4 already for 1,500 meters, just 17. Hellen Obiri made the final last year, but it was her fall at the World Championships 2 years ago that brought down Morgan Husseini, the world's #1 at that time. Genzebe Dibaba of Ethiopia, has she fallen between two stools? Wanted to do the 5,000 meters, ran 3:57 for the 1,500 earlier in the season. Has looked a little bit rusty since then over this distance. Former Olympic champion Nancy Langat won in Beijing in 2008. Next to her, Zoe Buckman of Australia. Great run in the semi-final, sneaked through on the inside, ran that new personal best, beat some big names including Dibaba. Korobkina won the European Team Championships at 3,000 meters at Gateshead. She's got a pretty good finish, but I don't think she's in the class of most of the people in this race here. Silver medalist in Daegu 2 years ago, Hannah England. That season's best of 4:3.38. Might not be relevant if it's slow, maybe if Aragawi takes it out. Sharmina, well, she found out all about Jess Judd in the 800 meters at the European Team Championships at Gateshead. Came back, won the 1,500, strong finisher. And there she is, the former Ethiopian, now representing Sweden. Abebe Aragawi tops the world this year, both in wins and fastest time. Faith Kipyegon, great talent. World Junior cross-country champion on 2 occasions. Already run 3:56.9 at 19 years of age. The defending champion, Jenny Simpson, from Colorado Springs, won the last big 1,500 before these championships in Monaco. The women's 1,500 meter final, finally ready to get underway. So where we go then, as ever in the women's 1,500 or the men's 1,500, the tactics will be interesting to watch. Where we have a fast race, Mary Kane's gone straight to the front and just gets a little nudge from her teammate Jenny Simpson saying, all right, youngster, just let me take this on you. And this is interesting. Jenny Simpson has gone to the front early. Langat is, Obiri's following her. Langat a little bit further back there. Hannah England just tucked in the pack. But Simpson deciding, I want to be out there in front, I want to control this. Not super fast or anything, but going off at a steady pace here.
I think the idea is that Jenny Simpson wants to control the race and try and make them run the way that she wants them to run. And if you take up the initiative and nobody's got an early plan, then sometimes you can make your presence felt. Obiri follows young Kipyegon, the world junior cross-country champion, on the outside there, tracking Aragawi, the favorite. But I was talking to Jos Hermans yesterday, he's the manager of Aragawi, and she said before she ran the semi-final, she was sick in the call-up room a couple of times, and he's really worried, but he did talk to her quite firmly about her tactics today. And his idea, and her idea, and she agreed it, well, she's going to try and make a run from a long way out. But let's see if what they've talked about beforehand comes into action.
And I don't think that's going to surprise many. That sort of tactic's been mooted around. I know some of the other 1,500 meter runners, that's what they're expecting Aragawi to do. So if they're trying to keep a plan secret, I'm not sure they've been able to do that. So Simpson may be aware of that, wants to be at the front. Aragawi's been clipped twice already, and when they bunch like this, I always think the women, they get a bit nervous in the pack, less so than the men. Look at Dibaba just saying to Halali, look, let me past here. And suddenly Aragawi wants to push, and Obiri pushes. And all of a sudden they all bunch up again. Simpson still leading on the curb, but here goes Aragawi with 2 laps to go, but cuts right across, almost across the American, but she just moves forward.
Just under 2 laps to go. The race, you can see, you could almost throw a blanket over that field as Aragawi starts to make a move to the front. She's been invincible this year. She's so outstanding when she runs fast. And here she's now got to do it. She's got a lot of people who expect her to do this. She's got a lot of people of talent for company. She's got Jenny Simpson on the inside, the reigning champion. Now, can Aragawi, the former Ethiopian, now representing Sweden, can she do anything? And as I said that, another push, another bump. Genzebe Dibaba comes shooting through near to the front and just holds herself right behind Aragawi.
Hannah England hasn't moved off the curb. That's where she likes to stay. But is it a good position as they approach the bell? Simpson leads. Aragawi in second place. Obiri, the danger from Kenya on the inside. Zoe Buckman trying to come through. Young Kip Yegon also blocks in there. Dibaba, Sharmina, Langat, and look at Mary Kane of the USA right at the back there, but she'll run a big last lap off this pace.
3-3 with a lap to go, and a move from the front by Jenny Simpson, and she's waiting for Aragawi, who hasn't done anything at all yet. Hannah England is in a good place now. Gaps are beginning to open as the pace picks up and gathers, and they're making their efforts. And there's Aragawi, the first serious strike. Obiri, the indoor champion. Jenny Simpson, the defending champion, isn't giving up without a fight. And there's Hannah England in 7th place in the back straight. And now Obiri attacks.
Can't get past Simpson, wants to hold the shoulder of Aragawi, but can she even attack the Swedish athlete? Aragawi kicks again, and this is decisive now. Simpson trying to chase her home. Obiri in 3rd place and Kip Yegon 4th, and the rest are nowhere. Aragawi kicking away. There will be a gold medal, or will it? Jenny Simpson starting to come back again, but Aragawi might just about have enough. Aragawi of Sweden. Hannah England's finishing quickly, but it's going to be gold to Sweden. Simpson takes the silver, bronze to Obiri, and Hannah England finishes 4th there, finished really well in the home straight. And for me, Bren, they were always the 3 best. They were the 3 best in the semis that finished that 1, 2, 3 in the semi-final like that, and it's happened again in the final. Simpson did all she could, and she even attacked again down the home straight, but Aragawi's been the best all year, number 1 all the way through. And whatever illness she might have been suffering from, she was still good enough with bits to spare. Shakes her head as if to say, maybe that was a bit tougher than I thought. Simpson did a great job trying to hold her off and come back again. And Obiri, always the best of the Kenyans. And a good run, really good run from Hannah England.
An excellent run by Hannah England. Relying on her finishing straight, she got some opportunities in the back straight. She held her position. She ran powerfully, and she's got to be really, really pleased with that. Into the finishing straight. There's on the inside of Zoe Buckman. Here comes Hannah England. Her finishing sprint is strong. She's opening up and making the gaps disappear. But Aragawi, powerful enough, strong enough. Jenny Simpson ran an excellent race, and Obiri, the indoor champion, was celebrating. But this was Aragawi in full flow. The confidence of the victories in the weeks leading up to it. And there's Obiri in 3rd place, and here is Hannah England on the line, 4th place. An excellent performance. Aragawi was working hard for that one, but she's so pleased, so relieved. A great victory there, and you would think they were waiting for her to win it. There's Hannah England in the back straight. Genzebe Dibaba just ahead of her, and now Hannah's just holding herself. Zoe Buckman, she's run a terrific series here, and this is an excellent performance from her, much more than people expected. The young Kip Yegon in 4th place as they're there, and look at that gap that Hannah England, she's coming through on the inside. She's very lucky, very calculating, gets the break. That's the break she wanted, but she was fast, but not fast enough for 3rd place, fast enough for 4th, and beating Kip Yegon on the line. I think she'll be happy with that run. Aragawi has got to be delighted. Jenny Simpson's got to be delighted. Obiri was celebrating when she crossed the line, and I'd say well done, Hannah England, and I think she's downstairs now talking to Phil Jones.
She is indeed, Brendan, and Brendan saying well done. Tremendous performance, 4th in the world, and what a finish we just saw. We watched it back together. That was tremendous.
It was. I don't think I left it too late. I'm not sure I could have got those first 2 anyway. I think I ran a good race. 4th. Everyone says 4th is the worst position, but it's better than 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. 4th in the world is amazing, and if anything, I feel like it's backed up my second from 2 years ago. I think, I know I feel like I should be more gutted with fourth, but I'm really chuffed. I think, I don't think people appreciate how hard it is to run an A standard, make the team, make the final, and then produce a decent performance. I think I'm really proud of myself putting all that together.
And so you should be. What about the race itself? You're bunched up all the way through there, throwing a blanket over you at times.
Yeah, it was very close, and again I chose the inside line that I tend to do. But I did overtake people from there. I didn't just settle. I made sure I was trying to keep as far forward as possible, and I have to see what my coach says, but I think it was a decent race, and that's just what I had today. And obviously I wish it had been one better. But
so finally, do you think the most important thing really when you look back will be that the fact you've had a silver medal a couple of years ago, now you're back in that mix, chasing medals, chasing top 5 places on the world stage?
Exactly. I mean, it's a blessing to be here, not be injured, and just be enjoying my running. And I'm gutted that I've got to wait another 11 months for another championship, the Commonwealth. But it's really fun, and I'm proud of how I handled myself today.
Well done again. Tremendous.
Thank you.
Yeah, well done. I think good fourth place. Aragawi was always, for me, going to be the winner, barring any illnesses or anything. She's been so good this year. So gold to Sweden, and maybe they might just start to like her a little bit more in Sweden. I said she's been a controversial figure back in Sweden, but it's a gold medal for them nonetheless. Jenny Simpson, the defending champion, great defence by her, takes a silver, and Obiri the bronze for Kenya.
Well, Bondarenko has been continuing his lap of honour for absolutely ages. He's got support all around the stadium. And what a performance it was. There's the roll of honour. Bogdan Bondarenko is the world champion. The highest height ever in the World Championships, 2.41 meters. And Barshim and Druin of Canada, second and third. The Qatari athlete there, 2.38, the same height as Derek Druin. And the Olympic champion, Ivan Ukov, much to the disappointment of the home crowd, could only finish in fourth place. But a tremendous competition, a great winner too.
So we've had 6 portions of gold dished out tonight. Kenya's Ezekiel Kemboi won the 3,000 steeplechase in his usual inimitable style. Is he the Usain of middle distance running? Heinova has been the outstanding hurdler, the 400-meter hurdler of the year, and she was rewarded with a sub-43-second gold. And it was decided on the line, the men's race. Tinsley and Gordon could only be separated by 100th of a second, but it was Jehu Gordon who took top spots. And in the high jump, a fantastic competition, almost reaching new heights. Bondarenko going for that world record. He didn't quite get that, but he got the gold for Ukraine. Ibrahim of Colombia was the lady who took them out in the triple jump, 14.83, to get her gold medal. And then, as we just saw, a really tightly contested 1,500-meter race, but it was the lady who has led all the way this year, Abiba Aragawi of Sweden, who gives them their first ever World Championship track gold medal. Great race. And Hannah England there, she said, when you put things into context, you talk about qualification, coming through the rounds here, it's a long journey to get there, and she's trying to put, I think, a really good shine on fourth place, and well, she might.
I think she's trying to do that, but the one thing about Hannah as well is she actually lacks a lot of self-confidence, and she has a world silver medal. She's backed that up with a fourth place. Sometimes I don't think she knows how good she is, and she believes that, and she leaves it late. She trusts that line will open up down the inside, and it did again tonight. She was lucky to be able to come through there. I just think if she believed that from the beginning of the race, put herself in the right places, I think she could have got a medal there today, but I'm so glad to see her get fourth, because I think she needs that confidence boost. But Jenny Simpson here of the US, I think hats off to her, because she went out and she ran that race really differently. I mean, when she won the world title 2 years ago, she blasted out of the pack and was able to close down the home straight and was really a surprise winner. But she went out and she controlled that race. She tried to do a Mo Farah on that field there and control it from the front, kick from the front. And trying to do that to an athlete of the calibre and the standard of Aragawi is tough, because she was always going to do this. She was always going to kick and have more speed than the others on that last lap, because she just is head and shoulders above the others. But Jenny Simpson fought back again and again, trying to hold her line and trying to come back, and I think she was closing as well, for me, down the home straight a little bit. I mean, Aragawi was already celebrating there, but I think here she's away. And again, Jenny Simpson's not giving up. She's trying to close back. And Helena Beria is that comes through. But don't forget that it's Kip Yegan that Hannah's picked on the line as well.
But for me, you highlighted it perfectly, but it just seemed like Hannah England had so much running in her legs, and surely that is a sign that perhaps she should have ran a little bit more. I don't know, should have been up there a bit earlier in the race.
Is it her strategy that she needs to look at more than anything else?
I think that Hannah's always going to finish fast. That is her strategy and that is her strength. So she's always going to finish like that. Maybe if she put herself a little bit further up, she could have done that. But I think that the others were just going to finish faster than her there. So I think it is a good result for her. But I'd like to see her believe and place herself a little bit better.
But if she's always going to finish fast, then she finishes fourth today. And you're finishing fast, you run out of track. It's the same thing with the 400 meters. We always talk about running out of track. You don't want to run out of track. You want to run out of wind at the finish line. So wouldn't that then necessitate a change of strategy?
Well, I just think that if she'd moved faster and she'd moved into position better on the back straight, she might not have had that left in the home straight, and then she would have been going backwards down the home straight rather than coming forward. So it's hard to know how much. I mean, she said herself there that did she leave it too late? Well, she's not sure that she could have caught them anyway.
I think we see a lot of that in the middle distance races, that ladies need to run with a bit more gusto. I think they've been doing great, but they need to take some chances, whether they do on the Diamond League circuit, but maybe try a different race strategy to give yourself that confidence to know that actually I can hang, I can really survive this, and perhaps that will lift the confidence.
Yeah, there is also the danger there that they'll go with it on the home straight, and then they won't be able to close as fast. And
but would you not agree that you could try the strategy, maybe on a Diamond League race that doesn't have a championship medal at stake, and see whether it works for you?
The problem is that when they go into the Diamond League races, too often there's a pacemaker, and it is strung out, and it's not this type of a race. And I think that was one thing that Hannah did do pretty well there. She didn't panic and she didn't get jostled too much. She kept herself out of trouble, but then she just was a bit too busy keeping out of trouble and didn't quite get herself right up there. But I think some of that was belief and some of that was just making sure that she had enough left at the end.
I think we just explained to people basically how difficult middle distance running is, because I've asked people that before, just kind of, well, wouldn't you just do this or wouldn't you just do that? And
like
it is extremely difficult to get the tactics right, and especially in championships, because championship running and distance running in middle distance is completely different than circuit running, whereas in the sprints, it's the same
thing. Yeah. I mean, it's like the other night with Andrew Assadio, and Michael said that he should have gone with the group. And then he would have finished higher up. He would have come last if he'd gone with the group, because he just wouldn't have had that left in the home straight.
If you'd been a 400-metre runner, you'd have gone with the group and then maybe not finished quite so high up the field. Let's have a little look at Aragawi there, who is Ethiopian-born but Swedish now. And we're actually next to Swedish television, and they're thrilled with that win. But she's not forgotten her roots, Denise. She's gone back to guys she's probably known a long time, part of her heritage in running in Ethiopia.
Absolutely. This is, the country where she began, as a young girl, dreaming about, success on the track. And as you heard, she still trains there. So she's just paying, a lot of thanks and her due to the country of her birth.
Well, the yellow and blue T-shirts have left the stadium. They've left with the joy that they saw their man take the goal, but probably tinged with a little bit of disappointment. He couldn't get that world record. He's getting so close, though, Michael, and in his sprinters spikes.
Yeah, different color spikes as well. He had a great time out here, and this would have been the perfect opportunity with such a crowd behind him here at a championship. And you think about, world records are broken when the conditions are perfect, and these were near perfect conditions. So I'm sure that he'll be very, very disappointed with, looking back on this, that he wasn't able to get it, but he's got a very good consolation in that he's a world champion.
And what a difference a year makes to the competition. I mean, we said it before, you may not have heard, Robbie Grabarts went out at 2:29, which was the height that got him a bronze medal in London last year. But this event has just gone skywards, excuse the pun.
Yeah, very good, Gabby. But it has soared, and rightly so. That the guys have been completely pushing each other on. They're working on their technique, but it is a confidence thing. And Robbie just hasn't had the string of form that he's had recently. But good.
Okay, yeah, great. Well, let's hear from him. He spoke to Phil straight after.
It's been quite a night in the high jump, another world record attempt. It seems that your event, Robbie, keeps going from height to height, literally. What's it like to be a part of it on a night like this?
I wouldn't say I was quite a part of it, but that was just fantastic to watch. You know, someone attempting a world record is always special. So yeah, it was good.
Well, you're always a part of it. You're in the mix, and you know, top 8 in the world isn't a bad thing. I know you want to be in the medal mix, though, and you set the standard last year, and they're setting another standard altogether that you need to build up towards next year, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was going to be difficult after the Olympics, you know, and at the beginning of the season with my a little knee problem, then you know I'm happy to have come here, and I'll take 8th place at World Championships.
And that considered, are you pleased with the way you acquitted yourself? Qualifying was so good, and you looked pretty decent again tonight. Obviously, you know, injury apart, it could have been a different story.
Yeah, you know, I think I've put it together well. I've basically peaked at the championships. You know, put 2 2:29s back to back, and I'm fairly happy with it.
Robbie, thanks for stopping and talking to us. All the best going forward.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Catch you later.
So no medal tonight for Robbie Grabarts, but he seems to be quite philosophical about it, Denise.
I think so, but a line that stayed with me from the indoors when Robbie jumped was, I want to be out there having fun again, you know, when he was jumping so well indoors. It's tough post-Olympic year to then reassess your goals, to realise that the buck stops with you and you have to keep competing, and people want to see you getting into the medals again.
He's done it once, they expect it.
And he should expect it for himself, but it just hasn't gone his way this year. I was pleased to see that he made the qualification to come out here anyway, and he'll learn from that, because one thing standing on that podium does to you, it makes you hungry for more success, and he'll be back.
Especially seeing people who were level with him in London moving up this year. Hopefully that hunger will really have been given a little kick. So let's look at the women's 400 metres hurdles. We had high hopes for Perry Shakes-Drayton, Michael. She's had a great season. She's been close to hanging over, but just about everything that could went wrong for her tonight.
Yeah, and from the start, and she said she was having some problem with her knee. She does look a little bit uneven here to me down the home stretch. And certainly over the last couple of hurdles, and she crashed that one right there, and that certainly wouldn't have helped anything at all, because this is such a rhythm event, and she was completely thrown off her rhythm, and in a race where people were running extremely fast. And so, you know, you start to lose. At this point, she's lost contact with the leaders. She knows that, and when you start to lose contact with the leaders, you have to make a decision. Do I continue with my race strategy, or do I throw that out of the window and start to compete and just race? And she started to try to race. That takes a tremendous amount of energy, and now she's just done here at the end of the race. And it's very disappointing, but she was in a very good position coming into these championships to do something special.
I think some people might have questioned whether, you know, is the pressure getting to her? I actually don't think so. For the first time seeing that at camera angle, she's definitely galloping. You know, she's uneven. Her stride pattern isn't as fluid. It's not the Perry we're used to seeing. And so, yeah, I agree with you, Michael. There's definitely something wrong with that knee. And I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, we've got the 4x4 relay to think about now.
Yeah, that she can come through for that. And well done to Ailey Child as well, who finished in 5th place. Let's move on to the men's race. A really strong field. And what an incredible finish, Michael.
Yeah, an absolutely incredible finish. And we always knew that this was going to be one of the gems of the championships. We thought the 400-meter open, the 400-meter flat was going to be a tight race, but this turned out to be one of the tightest. Jehu Gordon there actually falling over the finish line.
Neither of them at that stage knew.
Yeah, he and Tinsley both on the ground afterwards, just, you know, trying as hard as they can. I mean, that's athletes, just both of them just, you know, side by side, stride for stride, falling over the finish line, trying to get that championship. And Jehu Gordon comes home with it. I emailed him earlier and I said, you know, hey, good luck. And he emailed me back and said, I will. And I was like, what does that mean? I guess now we know.
All right, okay, just a couple of words. He's not a man of many words, obviously. It doesn't waste the breath, it just gets out there and does it. Imagine if Moncho, Paula, had dived like that to the line. We may have had a very different experience with Christina Horrigu the other night.
If Moncho had padded her bra, we might have had a different result. So.
You can say that, you see. You can say that. Michael couldn't. I probably couldn't get away with it either. If you have been inspired by what you're seeing here to get up and do something, it doesn't necessarily have to be athletics, a sport that you may like to try, go to the BBC website, because we have a fantastic inspirational project going, Inspiration Generation. on Radio 1 on Wednesday the 21st of August, 9 p.m. You can hear more about it, but you can find out about all kinds of clubs, activities, coaches and sports, because the great thing about athletics, as you've probably seen over the last few days, there really is an event for you. Whatever size, shape or whatever kind of talent you think you have, there's something there for you, I can assure you. OK, yesterday a lot of the athletes had a rest day. A lot of our staff here had a rest day in the afternoon, actually, and enjoyed themselves. Oh, not me, no. They sent me out to film around the streets of Moscow because they thought that you should know a little bit more about this historic capital city. This great city takes its name from the Moskva River, which is just a hop, skip and a jump away from the Luzhniki Stadium. Now, after so many years behind the Iron Curtain, there remains a mystique to Moscow. So we felt it would be remiss to come all this way and not give you a brief history of the Russian capital. Pens at the ready. This is Red Square, home of the Kremlin, and for many people the first thing that springs to mind when you think of Russia and Moscow. And over the years it has been so many different things. A stage and a hiding place, a fortress and a target, a symbol of hope and a place synonymous with fear. The red doesn't come from the colour either. The Russian word can also mean beautiful. After the first recorded mention of the city in 1147, Moscow suffered tremendously early on. Plagues, great fires and attacks from neighbouring territories often wiped out huge swathes of the population and early settlements. It became the capital for the first time during the reign of Ivan the Great, who brought stability to the region. He also rebuilt parts of the Kremlin in the 15th century. Ivan the Terrible, who was Russia's first Tsar, built the fabulous St. Basil's Cathedral, as Moscow and Russia itself continued to grow. Over the years, the official capital city has changed, but Moscow has remained the spiritual focal point, its fighting spirit integral to the national identity. As Adolf Hitler found out in 1942, and Napoleon before him with his failed invasion as part of his 1812 Russia campaign. But the Cathedral of Christ the Saviour was built as an homage to that kind of resistance and was the inspiration behind Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture and Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace. And here's the thing, that's not even the original. That was blown up in 1931 by Stalin as part of his objection to religion. That was rebuilt just over 10 years ago. Both Tchaikovsky and Tolstoy spent lots of time here, hinting at the cultural impact Moscow had globally. Indeed, Chekhov wrote the majority of his plays to be performed here at the unassuming Moscow Arts Theatre. Moscow is also synonymous with ballet and is home to the Bolshoi Theatre. Its image adorns the 100-ruble note. The Moscow Metro dates back to the Russian Empire, but it wasn't until 1935 that the first journey was made, thanks to some help from the brains behind the London Underground. These days, 6 million people take a journey every day, using 188 stations and over 200 miles of track. The design and the majority of the original features remain. Even underground, Muscovites are reminded of the city's past. Vladimir Lenin led the October Revolution here in 1918, overthrowing the government to create the world's first socialist state. He also returned capital status to Moscow. After Lenin's death, Moscow was soon under the communist regime of Joseph Stalin, who led Russia into World War II. And if you look around Moscow, modern Moscow today, you can see great examples of the architecture which Stalin commissioned, which showed the grandeur and ambition he had for Russia. This here is one of the Seven Sisters, 7 almost identical buildings which were built around Moscow at that time. It took over 10 years to build them all, which these days are used as apartments, hotels and offices. The Eastern Bloc was formed in the aftermath of World War II as the Soviet Union expanded in size before setting its eyes to the skies. The Soviet Union wasn't just locked in an arms race with the United States during the Cold War. The space race formed a huge part of it too. Yuri Gagarin was officially the first human up there. His exploits and those of all Russian cosmonauts proudly remembered to this day at this museum on the outskirts of town. Intriguing monuments lurk around almost every corner in a variety of styles from Moscow's contrasting eras. One of the more unusual is this statue here of Peter the Great. Only it's not supposed to be here, nor is it supposed to be Peter the Great. The story goes it was originally commissioned as Columbus and meant as a gift to the United States of America. Well, the Americans declined to foot the bill to transport it there, so very quickly Columbus was beheaded and Peter the Great installed. And if you look closely, you can see an unusual necklace which hides the damage. In 1991, the end of the USSR was signalled when Boris Yeltsin stood on top of a tank in front of the White House and stopped an attempted coup by the communists on the streets of Moscow. Tanks had been stationed at Red Square, but with the coup now thwarted, it left the way for Yeltsin to become the first president of the all-new Russian Federation. Which brings us up to the present day and back here to the Luzhniki Stadium complex. This was, of course, the site of the boycotted 1980 Olympics, and memories of those games linger on in the arenas that remain. The stadium is looking to the future. It's already hosted the Champions League final in 2008 and is one of the venues for the FIFA World Cup in 5 years' time. Moscow has an interesting story to tell, but you get the feeling there are more chapters to be written yet. Got it? 5 minutes, Moscow history, sorted. Don't tell the producer, but it was actually a brilliant day. Now, Usain Bolt is back in action tomorrow. It's the 200-metre heats, but he's going to have to play second fiddle to our Mo, already the winner of a gold medal in the 10,000 metres. He's going for his second in the 5K, and I don't need to tell you just how exciting it is when Mo races in a final.
They're getting ready onto the start line, and this is getting exciting.
Ahead 25 laps of the World Championship 10,000 metres.
But Mo Farah is the only athlete in this field tonight who's got real supreme confidence.
There's Jaylan just going on the shoulder of the man who beat him, the man who outkicked him in Daegu 2 years ago.
And there goes Mo Farah. This is smart, this is tactical, this is clever. The bell sounds, and Mo's got to grasp every inch of this last lap. Down the back straight, on the top end. Tanui with him. Now Mo Farah. Let's show the speed today that you've shown us all season. And here comes Jaylan, the defending champion.
Mo Farah digging deep. He's got Jaylan right there. And here's the last bit of acceleration. And Mo Farah starts to go away. It's still not one. Jaylan is still there. And Jaylan comes again. But Farah's going to get there. This is world domination for Farah. He is the world champion.
Still watch that and think Jaylan just might have him there on the line. It's always a nerve-wracking experience, isn't it, watching Mo? But 5:45 tomorrow, you can see him go for his second gold. Our coverage for you tomorrow, 6:30 in the morning on BBC Two and 3:35 for the afternoon evening sessions, also on BBC Two. There are also 200 heats and 100 heats in the morning as well. So a great day tomorrow. Guys, it's been another fabulous evening here. I'm getting a bit excited about Mo now, I think, Denise, so having seen that.
I know we'll all be on tender hooks, but yes, it's been a thrilling evening of athletics. A little bit disappointed about Perry, but, you know.
Good night for America. Good night for USA tonight.
Yeah, good night from America for America. Jenny Simpson, you know, a great performance by her, and we haven't always done well in the women's middle distance. So and she's
silver in the
really
men's
good.
800. It's all going well there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Michael, Paula, Denise. We'll leave you tonight then. 6 gold medals decided here. The moment where the confluence of the brilliant training and the passion of these athletes comes together, and sometimes it's poetry in motion.
Being an athlete is about mental strength, physical strength. You have to move with grace and power. Using your agility effortlessly. It's about dedication. Focus. Hour after hour. Building up to one final flourish. It's about your composure and determination. That you can be the best.